Sorry about that. What's good, LL Nation? SD2 Mics is in the building. I'll be joined by Malik Zaire momentarily. Special guest Bryan Driskell. This is the Lucky Lefty Podcast, National Signing Day Recap, brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. It is that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. And if you drink, by all means, make sure that you do drink responsibly. You gotta drink responsibly. While you're at it, don't forget all of our great content. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, CFB Nation. In conjunction with Irish Breakdown, it's the Lucky Lefty Podcast. You already know we spin it different. Lots of intel, lots of information to get through, sift through on tonight. We know what the big topic is. We're going to hear from Marcus Freeman, giving his thoughts on the class of 2023, and then covering NIL, how it impacts Notre Dame this year and moving forward. We are pleased to welcome in right now the big boss man over at Irish Breakdown, Bryan Driskell. As I said before, Malik's going to join us shortly. Malik, all coaches all over the country were busy working today, and Malik is no different.
Sure.
While Marcus Freeman was accepting his class of 2023, Malik was somewhere trying to convince an 8th grader to allow him to develop him to get to the next level and get a Power 5 scholarship. So the beat goes on for coaches all over the country. Yeah. We've taken a step back. We did 5 hours today, bro. Now we take a step back. How are you feeling right now in this moment with this class? Just overall, your thoughts on this class that Marcus Freeman and the staff were able to haul in on today.
I mean, this is a great class. And look, I don't care what the rankings say. I've looked at some of the classes they have ranked ahead of Notre Dame, and it's an absurd thing. You know, the whole system is flawed. I look at this class and I say, forget all the other noise, right? Does this class make Notre Dame better and get Notre Dame another step closer to being the kind of team that compete for a championship? Yeah. You look at what the needs were, Shaun. We talked about it. They need an impact quarterback. Check. They need to continue to add more speed on offense. Check. And they did that with a dynamic running back, a 6'2.5", big play vertical receiver, a 4-man receiver class that I think is just outstanding, one of the best tight ends in the country, and a 5-man offensive line class that is again one of the 2 or 3 best groups in the country, right? Like check all the boxes. Defensively, you know, without Keon Keeley and Peyton Bowen, the class isn't as good as it could have been. But again, that's the difference. Are we going to have a conversation about what could have been? Then we can talk about that. But if the question that you posed is just how good it was, it's an excellent class. 4-man secondary class, excellent class. All 4 kids ranked in the top 250 by at least one service. I have 2 of the kids graded out as top 100 guys, both of the corners. Arguably the best linebacker class in the country. I think it is. And then, of course, a 4-man defensive line class that is missing that edge rusher, right? Let's be real. It's missing that edge rusher.
Yeah.
But it's 4 talented kids with lower floors but really high ceilings that are all ranked as top 200 recruits by at least one service. And so when you look at it, it's a class that makes Notre Dame better, and it's going to serve as a great foundation to what Marcus Freeman is building and what this staff is trying to build. And they did it in the NIL era where teams are just coming in and buying players. And you have to ask yourself, people say, you know, do you have regrets about it? I said, my regrets are, why wasn't this being done for the last decade? Those are my regrets. When you didn't have to deal with players getting millions of dollars. It just goes to show that it was never Notre Dame that was the problem at the end of the day, Shaun. And that's what this Marcus Freeman is doing.
Well, we've known all along one of the biggest things that took place early when he took over the job was creating a new narrative when it came to Notre Dame on the recruiting trail. That was immediate. That was the immediate impact of Marcus Freeman. We heard it from kids that didn't even choose to go to Notre Dame on today. And we know it exists within the class. How many estimation, we had this discussion, how many kids would you estimate that would have never chosen Notre Dame if Marcus Freeman wasn't the head coach out of this class?
Well, I mean, look, there's kids that we knew. So let's deal with a couple of realities, right? If
Hmm.
if Marcus Freeman's not the head coach, then we're discussing what, the Brian Kelly's still the head coach? Is that
Yeah,
kind of what we're the premise of the thing, or is it
yeah.
or potentially Luke
If
Fickell gets
everything,
hired or
yeah,
something like that, right?
everything's the same or someone else, in your
Well, number
opinion.
one, this offensive line class would look different. They might have had some top guys, but I don't know if they'd have been guys that really fit what Notre Dame needs to be, because Harry Heastand doesn't come back if Brian Kelly's still the head coach, right? You've got
Yeah,
Chancey Stuckey doing what he did. Let's be real about this. All 4 kids in this receiver class, not a one of them was being recruited by the previous staff. Not a one of them. So throw that all out. Jeremiah Love was not being recruited by the previous staff. And so throw that one out. They'd have had who the running back would have been? It would have been Cedric Irvin. Good kid. Love Cedric Irvin as a young man, solid player. He's not moving the needle, man. And so they're not there. Defensively, I think the class would have looked about the same, honestly. And you and I had this conversation, would Christian Gray have come? Well, here's why I say yes, because they still would have wanted to come for a play for Marcus Freeman, because Marcus Freeman would have been the defensive coordinator. And so I think the defensive staff still would look the same. I think it would have looked a lot like last year's class, Shaun. Great defensive class. Offensive class had some dudes,
yeah,
because
that's
some
fair.
dudes are just going to come play for Notre Dame, but it would have fell short of what it needed to be. That's what I think. And who knows who the quarterback would have been? No
Yeah,
clue who the quarterback would have been, because it wouldn't have been Kenny Minchie. It wouldn't have been Dante Moore. I don't know who the heck it would have been. Aiden Gray, I mean,
Ugh,
right? But I mean, that's what they've been doing, right?
yeah,
I mean, that's what they've been
yeah,
doing a lot of years. So
yeah. Well, overall, no matter what you say about this class, we both agree that even without Peyton Bowen is a gap closing class,
right.
particularly because we feel like the dominoes at the quarterback position have started to fall with Kenny Minchie and then CJ Carr coming in 2024. Well, let's hear from the head man himself. This is Marcus Freeman earlier today talking about or giving his thoughts on his 2023 class at Notre Dame.
Today's a very exciting day. We're extremely excited about this 23 class. You know, again, a couple of highlights that we wrote down. Just again, having the chance to have the 4th Buckus Award winner and Drake Bowen. He's a huge part of this class. Been committed for a long time. First time we've had a top 300 player at every position. It's a close group that's been committed really for the majority of the guys before the season even started. And so the chance for these guys to stay together and to build that close bond has been vital for this class to stay together. The core GPA of this group being a 3.46 speaks to, the importance of academics within this group. And we had 4 players out of Texas, which is the most in 20 years. So that's important to us to be able to, we're a global, the Notre Dame's a global brand, and we recruited across the nation and even into Canada. It's extremely exciting. We addressed some positional needs, O-line, D-line, and wide receiver. I think we took 5 O-linemen, 4 D-linemen, and 4 wide receivers. And that was important to us, what we needed to address. 12 of those guys will be mid-years. And then, as I said earlier, 24 signees from 13 states and Canada. Again, it just speaks to our global brand.
Bryan, let's talk about some things he said there towards the end. Offensive line, D line, wide receiver room. Those were the main targets by position for this class. I think they were pretty successful. Yes, they lost Keon Keeley. The dominant pass rusher isn't evident in this class. But when you add Armel Mukam, Traore, Bubakar Traore, Devin Houston, Brendan Vernon, you add depth. And you might not get the top end guys, but you strengthen the middle of your roster.
What you did, Shaun, is you added a bunch of Adio Gandijis and Khalid Kareems.
Mm,
That's what you did. That's who you added. And some of them are actually somewhat similar to him. I think a guy, for example, Bubakar Traore, I think like his game and his all that is very similar to what Adi was by the time Adi was a junior.
yeah.
Body type of game. Devin Houston is a lot like the better version of the kids that they've been getting, right? He is a really good top 150 to 200 caliber football player to me. So these are not 3-star projects you're crossing your fingers and hope that they can give you playing time, right? Like for example, like Jason Onye. They're not Jason Onye. What I mean by that is Jason was a Armo Mukum somewhat is, but like Jason is a kid who I love his ceiling. He may end up becoming a great player at Notre Dame, but he was always sort of a boomer bust kind of kid, right? Like, because he'd played football for 2 years. The COVID thing took a year, a really important year for him in development. So you're like, maybe he pans out, maybe he doesn't, right? These guys are more ready-made. They, even Armel Mukum has really taken to football because Armel got what Jason never got that last year of high school to really take that big step as a player. Jason lost that because of COVID. And so you're looking at guys that are the Khalid Kareems, the Adio Gandhis. Now, what you didn't get was the Isaiah Foskey, right? At least the edge player, right? But there's two guys in this group to me that are 5-star, borderline 5-star upside guys. Traore clearly is. Brendan Vernon is in that conversation. Armel Mukum has a 4.5-star upside grade. Devin Houston has 4.5-star upside grade, and they're long. Then that's the thing is they met, even though they didn't get that edge player, they met some of their D-line needs though, Shaun. They needed to get bigger. They needed to get longer. And they certainly did that. I mean, your D-line this year, your starting defensive line was a 6'2.5" take and a 6'1" nose tackle. Good players, but we're sitting there like, why doesn't Notre Dame break, back down any passes? Because I'm like, because they're Nana's 6'2.5", 6'3".
Yeah.
So other than Mills and Foskey, Justin Adamiola is 6'2", Jordan Bethel is 6'2", right? Like all the cats you're throwing out there are these shorter guys. Now these are some cats that have some length. You have two guys with over 80-inch wingspans in this group, Shaun, and Boubacar and Armel Mukum. That's nutty, right? That's crazy length.
Yeah.
So I still think even there, if you look at just what they got, it's a really strong class. It came up short in just pure edge rusher. But you got two of those guys in last year's class and potentially three if they go full stop on or they go full bore on moving Junior to Viper.
Viper, yeah.
So you got and so one of the things that I'll have coming out in the next couple of days, Shaun, is that 2-year grade thing. And if you look at the D line in the 2-year grade, you got Armel Mukum, Brennan Vernon, Devin Houston, and Boubacar Traore, right? Big, long, interior edge guys. And then in the 2-year look, you also add to them Tyson Ford, top 100 recruit, Aiden Gobaira, top 150 recruit, Josh Burnham, top 100 recruit, and Junior Tuihalamaka, top 100 recruit. That's going to be your defensive line from this 2-year haul.
That's the way you have to look at it. That's the way you have to look at it. It's the team,
right? This group isn't playing in isolation against other teams.
Right.
Right? It's part of building on those blocks. And when you look at that 2-year haul, which we'll do more tomorrow, a little bit more in depth on the website and then maybe the show a little bit. You look and say, well, you know what? D-line, they're adding some dudes now because they had twitchy edge guys last year. Oh, I forgot Donovan Heinisch, right? They needed to add some mass, and this group added some mass.
Yeah, they absolutely added mass, and we want them to get even bigger in the 24 class with kids like Justin Scott out of Chicago. That's a kid you have to get who is ready, set to go, over 300 pounds. He's a big dancing bear. He'll definitely make an impact. Notre Dame needs to put the full court press on him. Lucky Lefty podcast right here. Shaun Davis being joined by the big boss man over Irish Breakdown, Bryan Driskell. He doesn't like when I call him stuff like that. That's why he's shaking his head. Sometimes I just call him and say, hey, boss, and he hates it. He hates it. Like, don't call me that. But we're here talking about National Signing Day, and be patient with us. We're going to get to the elephant in the room. I promise you. Have intel, what's going on, what has taken place since the buffoonery that we were, unfortunately, had to watch down in Texas earlier today. We'll talk about that, but I want to get into something that's at the forefront. And, we did a show last week when we talked about the new president of the NCAA, how that move is going to impact NIL. And NIL was a hot topic even today for Marcus Freeman. The media kept peppering questions, finding different ways to ask the same thing concerning NIL and how Marcus Freeman is going to be able to go and get big-time players at Notre Dame. And I thought he handled himself well. Here's just a few things he had to say about that earlier today.
I think it's a lot harder to decommit than it is to commit, right? And so we've always said that, like, listen, if the earlier you can get these guys committed to Notre Dame, I think the better chance you have to signing them. But you got to continue to make sure they understand the value of this place. And, with time comes other obstacles, right? Other thoughts into these recruits' minds and thought process. But, for them to continue to formulate a bond within each other, with each other within this class is so important, because that's ultimately, I think, one of the most important factors into this decision is the bond they have with the other guys in their class, because that's never going to change. And I tell those guys that's important. That's who you'll lean on when things get tough. And, those will be the guys that you'll be friends with and brothers with for the rest of your life. So it's extremely important.
And when you are able to get the early commitments and maybe get them back to campus more frequently, how much does that also potentially allow you all to educate them more on NIL opportunities here, or potentially have them learn about NIL opportunities here from current members of the football team?
Yeah, we talk about it, but if that's the only reason they want to come to Notre Dame, this ain't going to be the right fit for them. And I think that the more we can get them back to show them what makes Notre Dame important, what makes this place special, the value of this university, the value of this education, the value of playing football here at this place is really what attracts you and what keeps you here. And that's what we all have to understand. If you're coming here because of NIL, it's probably not going to be the best place for you, and it's not going to be the place you choose. If you come here and you understand the value of this university, this network, this football team, then you got a great chance to stick it out when things get really, really tough, because that's college. That's 18 to 22. It gets tough. There's bumps in the road. And when you choose this place for what it brings you way past the time you're here, then during those tough times, you'll lean on those teammates that I just talked about, those guys that came in with you, but also you'll lean on the understanding that, hey, the value of Notre Dame is going to take care of you for a long time.
Some very straightforward and transparent comments concerning NIL and what Marcus Freeman is trying to establish in his recruiting with his staff as a game plan. And Chad Bowden did a tremendous job with the 2023 class. Every young man we talked to earlier today, that was one of the guys they mentioned, like how great Chad Bowden was. And the game plan to get out early, because Notre Dame knows at this point, the program has not been built up and has not won anything to be able to just naturally attract elite talent. But a Notre Dame was always going to attract talent. But to just have five-star guys saying, man, I want to go there, before they even hear from Notre Dame, it's a few steps that they need to take, namely winning games, winning big-time games, and a national championship for them to get that aura on the program. So they have to jump out early. They have to have a game plan. They have to get out early on a Peyton Bowen. They have to get out early on a Keon Keeley. They have to get out early on a Jackson Arnold, on a Dante Moore, and then make the rest of the world or the college football landscape play catch up. And it's all about retention. And that's very smart, in my opinion, that they're doing that. But the one thing I want to say is that I don't think this deters them one bit. Losing the guys they lost, yeah, the fan base might feel a certain way. It's disappointing, as you pointed out a little bit earlier. But I think Marcus Freeman comes away more determined as he goes into January in the open season and the open period heading into the spring with the 24 class and the 25 class. I think he has become even more determined to prove that he's the guy that can get elite talent to come to Notre Dame. And see, right there, that's another special moment right there. We got a guy, Big Boss Man, getting a call, some more intel, Lucky Lefty podcast. I want to point out also that he talked about NIL. And if that was the main reason, or if it's going to be the main reason why anyone is going to choose to come to Notre Dame, that Notre Dame is probably just not the right place for you. And I think that needed to be said. I think that message needed to be put out there, because I think there were certain recruits in this class, and Bryan, correct me if I'm wrong, certain recruits in this class that kind of knew what Notre Dame stood for, but they had to be reminded because they kept trying to push the envelope.
Yeah. Shaun, that's like Jeremiah Love's a perfect example.
Mhm.
Like Jeremiah Love wanted Notre Dame. But when you're an 18-year-old kid, no matter how, I mean, that is one of the smartest, most like you talk to him and you're almost kind of like, yo, this dude's way smarter than me. I shouldn't be talking to him. You know what I mean? Like, because everybody sees the football player and the tall and the fast and the swagger, how he kind of taunts people when he has big plays. But then you meet the Jeremiah Love off the field and you're like, this is a highly intellectual kid who's artistic and talented and all that. And I don't care how mature you are at 18. When some cat just rolls up with a 7-figure offer, you're going to feel a certain way about it. And even if it's a high 6-figure offer, which cats in this class were getting, Shaun, you're going to think about that. I don't care who you are. But those are the kids that sat down and said, you know what, man, that's big, but I chose Notre Dame for that. And that's Coach Freeman's thing, because these kids know I'll get mine. It may not be that, but I'm going to get mine. But I'm going to get mine at Notre Dame and still also have that degree, which these kids, and I've had kids straight up tell me this, Shaun. Even if I get half of what they're offering at Notre Dame over 4 years, I feel like with the Notre Dame degree, I can more than double what that guy's getting over there, because that's just what it is for him, because he's going to, school X, right? I won't say the schools that the kid said. And so that's the thing for me, Shaun, is you look at that and you say, that's why it's important. You said, because you mentioned the kids, you said, you got to hold on. You said Keely and Dante, but look, let's also, that group also includes Jeremiah Love, Jaden Greathouse, Braylon James, Charles Jagasol.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it includes Micah Bell. It includes Christian Gray. It includes Drake Bowen. It includes Jaden Osbury. Those cats were getting stuff thrown at them.
Absolutely.
Let me just tell you that right now. And they're kids that said, hey, look, this is just that's not what I'm looking for. And it was, if that's all you have to offer me, then thank you. I appreciate that. I'm honored that you felt that I was worth that, but I feel I'm worth more. And my value goes beyond you just throwing dollars at me. My value goes through empowerment. I'm going to empower myself by being at Notre Dame, because a lot of these kids in Notre Dame understand that old expression, Shaun, whether they're familiar with this expression or not, is, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day.
Mm-hmm.
Teach a man to fish and you can, you feed him for a lifetime. And they understand that. And that's what they're betting on, right? Because they know football may not work. I've had kids in this class. Football may not work out for me. I may get hurt. I may something, but I'm going to leave there with that, and you can't take that from me. I can only give it up. You can't take it from me.
Yeah.
And that's the impactful thing.
That's one of the most important things that stood out to me. And what Coach Freeman was saying right there. It's like, this has to be important. Notre Dame has to be first. Like, there has to be a brotherhood. And it goes back to, we talked to Braylon James. He said everybody in the class is one mind. We're all like-minded. And we're moving forward with that. And if there are individuals that don't want to be a part of that mindset, then that's fine. Move on. But I think the gut punch, not only to the class, but to the fan base, is that when you have kids that are committed since literally, I believe he committed right before the Fiesta Bowl, did he not? Wasn't it right before they kicked off?
It was, because the Fiesta Bowl was the January 2nd, I think.
You're right.
And he committed the day before.
Yeah, you're right.
So it was the first new year. I mean, it was Marcus Freeman's first commitment as the head coach.
Yeah. So, the disappointment and the anger, from the fan base, and understandably, the anger from the commits and the emotional roller coaster they've been on the last 2 weeks, and how invested they were in the fight to retain, certain players in the class. It really much, that's why I started off the show the way I did, because I was not about to allow what took place today to be a dark cloud over the success of this staff, Marcus Freeman, Chad Bowden, and these young men in the 2023 class, and what they put forth on the field to make themselves better, and then what they did staying connected through a disappointing season. Like, we don't have to hold back on that. We didn't expect Notre Dame to go 8-4 this year. No one expected that. And when they started out 0-2 after that Marshall game, we thought the cracks in the wall were about to be monstrous. There's no way Marcus Freeman can hold on to this class and retain this class. They just lost to Marshall.
Yep.
And one of the most commendable actions right after that game was that the 23 class, members of the 23 class, stepped up and spoke out and said, no, we're locked in, especially that wide receiver room. And that's when you knew, okay, this class, it is special. They do have a brotherhood that can withstand anything. And that's what Marcus Freeman pointed to in those comments. You need to establish the brotherhood now so that when you get here and those tough times come up, that's what you hold on to, right? You don't start living like a married couple once you take the vows. You know, you kind of
This isn't
start
like
doing
that stupid crap on TV, right?
right.
You know, where you meet the person you're going to marry the day of, and it's all for show and flash and popularity and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Do you mind if I interject here, Shaun? Because
No,
I want to speak on something that you're saying, right? Like, let's be real about something else. I'm seeing some of the comments in the chat. Can we be real about this? Big part of the reason Peyton Bowen shot up as being a 5-star was partly because A, he is a 5-star, and B, because he took all those visits and played that game. Same with Keon. If Brendan Vernon would have taken 5 visits to Ohio State, if Christian Gray would have still gone to LSU and Ohio State and those schools during the year at USC, who was looking at him, if Drake Bowen would have still been going to the Clemsons and the Bamas and all that kind of stuff, let's be real about something. Their rankings would have been where they are when they started recruiting him. Brendan Vernon was a top 10 player when Notre Dame landed him. Right? Peyton Bowen was top 50 to 100 everybody. Yeah. Christian Gray was a highly ranked recruit. Why did they drop? Because they were no longer a storyline. And they weren't committed to a school that drives the clicks the way that other fan bases do. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's why some of these cats dropped. I mean, it's just one of those things where did Brandon Hillman become a better player because 2 recruiting services jumped him up as a 4-star into the top 200?
Nah.
No, he was always that dude, but he made you feel better about him because of the ranking. That's where we missed the boat as a fan base far too much. And that's why I try to point out is we saw this against, look, they still got to get more elite players, right? Now, whether that's a 5-star or a Abubakar Traore who isn't a 5-star now but turns into one, I don't really care. Try to get there. They've got to get more of those dudes. But the reality is this class is adding those kind of cats. That's the thing. And if fans can take a step back and say, we need to be able to speak 2 truths, Shaun. 1, this is a heck of a class that moves the needle. B, there's still plenty of room to get better and do better. And that's part of it too, right? Next year, you keep that Peyton Bowen in the class, that type of kid in the class.
Oh, we double down.
Next year, you make Keon Keeley as more of Notre Dame's kids start making NIL deals. Let's be real about something. If Notre Dame gets a portal quarterback who's kind of a name and he rips it up next year, that kid's going to get some money. If we get into a situation where, Notre Dame is out there next year and Kenny Minchie takes over, or Tyler Buckner steps up and takes over, and they're dominating. All of a sudden, the word gets out, like, did you guys hear that CJ Carr signed an $X million deal with so-and-so, or Kenny Minchie did a thing with so? That stuff gets out there. People are going to start getting more word of mouth about how Michael Mayer's doing this, and they're going to see what happens at Oregon the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Watch. Because did you see what happened to Oregon's last class? It kind of got a lot of cats leaving from the last 2 classes because they're just jumping in the portal for more money. When you buy a kid, you're not buying his loyalty, you're buying his presence. And that's the thing that Marcus Freeman is saying is like, we can buy a kid's presence. We could throw money to kid. If Notre Dame got into the NIL business, they would dominate. Let's be real about that. I know some cats at Notre Dame that if Notre Dame said, you know what, screw it, they're going to pull a Saban. And Saban was just like, fine. Because Saban warned everybody. If y'all
He
don't
did.
do something about this, we're going to start doing it, and you're not going to like the results.
And he's
And
proven
look
it.
what happened today.
He's proven it.
Right? If Notre Dame did that, they would be Nick Saban on steroids because they'd have Keon Keeley. They'd have Peyton Bowen. And I could name a couple other cats that would be in this class, Shaun, if it was about that too.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Lefty Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, CFB Nation, our show, State of Recruiting. Man, no one covers college football like CFB Nation. In conjunction with Irish Breakdown. You might as well go right now. Leave 5 stars. We enjoy your comments. Hit the automatic download. Just set it up every day. Just, you want great content. CFB Nation. That's where you need to come. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It's the Lucky Lefty Podcast. You already know. Brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. That premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. And if you drink, by all means, make sure you drink
responsibly. I'm
You
sorry.
gotta drink responsibly.
You know how
Left.
that LA traffic is, man. It's crazy. It's crazy, but not as crazy as these flips today. I know y'all probably approached it and addressed it, but
No,
man,
we waited for you.
What are flips?
We waited for you.
I don't know what he's talking about. What flips?
We waited for you, Left. So let
Man.
me bring it in. We waited for you. I said I'm not even talking about the elephant in the room.
Can I say one thing
Absolutely.
before we go there? Notre Dame fans, I'm just telling you right now, just there's not a lot I can say right now at this particular second, but the college football world better pray to God that the NCAA doesn't step in and stop NIL. Because if they stop NIL the way that it is, Marcus Freeman and Chad Bowden are going to, like I said it earlier to say today, Shaun, right? I'm going to do it again, right? This is what these cats are doing right now. You're on the list. You're on the list.
Yep.
You're on the list. And when this playing field gets even, you have no chance against us.
Mhm.
None. And if y'all knew, we're going to share it when the time is right. We're going to share it. If y'all only knew what Marcus Freeman and Chad Bowden were doing these last couple of days, even right now today, you'd be like, dude, if this playing field gets even remotely evened, the rest of college football has no chance. But the culture that Marcus Freeman is establishing by saying, no, we're not going to play that game. You either want to be here for the right reasons or you don't, because Malik will tell you, if you come to Notre Dame for money and you're sitting in that class with other cats who are there for academics and you're not there for that, you will fail. Malik, you had kids in your class that were that way. They were at Notre Dame for football and they didn't make it. And that's the thing about Coach Freeman is we may not have those highly ranked guys that are getting NIL deals, but we have guys that are buying into what makes us special. And they're still really talented. And when those kids become 2, 3, 4-year players and you just lost all your juniors, because guess what? When they're draft eligible, they're going to go back into free agency. You're done. You're done. You have no chance. You have no chance at that point. And that's what I'm excited to see. Just be patient with it, fans, because I'm telling you, write it down right now. That's happening because these cats are taking names. Let me tell you something. Marcus Freeman comes across as a Malik. Have you ever met him away from, like, have you ever met him one-on-one?
Yeah, I met Marcus Freeman.
Marcus Freeman's a very smart, intellectual dude, but he has a feisty side.
Oh, yeah.
That you do not want to get on the wrong side of. And there's some schools that just put themselves on the wrong side of that list, and they're going to wish they didn't. I'm just telling y'all that.
You're going to wish they didn't. I'm telling you. Because we're going to schedule them on the program. Texas A&M going to be on that schedule eventually. You know,
2 years.
Yeah. It's coming.
So let's get to it. This is what we wouldn't let it be the main event. But let's get to the dessert. The elephant in the room. Earlier today, Notre Dame fans had to suffer through what I would call 20 seconds of buffoonery. Left, I don't know how you feel. You played. So the logo is special to you. So to have someone disrespect the logo, pick it up, put it on their head, put it back down, and then go ahead and make another selection. Knowing what was going on, knowing what had taken place in the days before. And I just want to go back because we're going to build this, right? We're going to build this the right way. You have to start the conversation off right. So at this point in time, I'm going to open up the floor because we have to go back to last week when a bit of information came out, courtesy of IB Nation message board and Bryan Driskell concerning the recruitment of Peyton Bowen, and mentioned that some enticements had become prevalent in his recruiting. And all of a sudden, things were starting to take a turn for the worse. And from that point, Bryan, you can pick it up. Because I feel like a lot of people owe you an apology, my bro. Right? Because people were blaming you for him not being in the class, blaming you because he decided to put out a tweet that said misinformation was out there. But let's just go ahead and dig into it. You lay the foundation so we can really get into this conversation.
I don't know how prevalent Twitter was when you played at Malik, at Notre Dame Malik. I mean, it's just kind of just getting started, right? But could you imagine what it was like when you were playing? Here's the way I look at it, right? Because the 21 of 24 against Texas gets erased the next week when you have a couple misses against Virginia, right? Isn't that how it goes, right? Malik's not accurate. Why? Yeah. You missed a couple balls against Virginia. Did you forget what happened last week?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's how it is. If I got worked up by every person on Twitter that responded to me, first of all, I've read most of that stuff.
Yeah.
Probably need therapy. I don't. And the reality is I don't really care. It honestly didn't start bothering me, Shaun, until today. Because I didn't even think about when it happened. I didn't even think about, I told you. It wasn't until like you said something to me. I was like, yo, that's right. Like, it's one of those things where number one, what it showed me is I'm going to try to be the bigger person for now. I have a feeling Malik's going to try to poke the bear and get me to get fired up. But just know the commitment that we have, and I saw some of the responses in your show that next day that people had. If I put something out there, you can promise that it is very well sourced, and it ain't just one person.
That's
unless it is the person who it's about. If a kid tells me I'm going to commit to Notre Dame, I don't need to source it. You know what I mean? Like, he's telling me, but if it's not from the kid, it's going to be sourced, which is why the vast majority of the stuff we put out is accurate. It's why we have grown the way we've grown over the last year. When everybody was saying, all the national people, Dennis Dodd, all those cats, is looking like Luke Fickell, Shaun. What were we saying at Irish Breakdown? No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's going to be Marcus Freeman. Why? Because we had legit intel in multiple sources. Same thing here. My intel was spot on. You can say, okay, well, is it off $100,000? It was this number instead of that. Maybe, but that's the number I was told. Maybe somebody rounded up from 1.9 to 2. Okay, cool. So technically, I guess it was off. But today kind of showed that that's what was going on. That's the dynamic that changed everything. Was Oregon getting in, just like it was the dynamic that all of a sudden caused Austin Novosad. Does anyone really want to tell me that Austin Novosad flipped to Oregon because of this long relationship he's been building with who? Their offensive coordinator, quarterback coach left 2 freaking weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, but it was there, right? You know, so I'm totally sure it's the fit. It's what I can fit into my bank account is what it comes down to.
That's right.
And so just know that if I put something like that out there on a private message board that people did things with they're not supposed to do things with, right? That it's going to be pretty close to accurate. It may be off a degree, but it's going to be out there. Because Shaun will tell you how many times have we had conversation. I'm like, man, I don't feel good about this intel. I'm not putting it out. I need to talk to a couple more people first and see if we're getting the same story.
Yeah.
And so That's why I never felt honestly, Shaun, like you called me and they said, like, you good, B? And I was like, I'm good, man. Like, as long as Notre Dame's doesn't view the way people do, and they didn't. They knew what, because they knew what was going on too. Why would they be pissed at me for putting something out there that they knew was going on?
Yeah.
Right. And so I was good, because it's like this, man. If you, whether you're a player or a coach or doing what we do, we're all former players, right?
Yeah.
We weren't as talented as this dude, but we're former players. I always felt like if I lost a game, if I felt like, I never felt bad after a loss just because of the loss. It was always about, could I have played better? Did I leave it all out there? That's the stuff that ate at me. We lost because I made that mistake, because I did this. It wasn't just a loss. It was, I didn't leave it all out there. I didn't do what I needed to do on Tuesday to make us win on Saturday. And that's the way I look at it this, Shaun, is if I feel good about how we went about putting the intel out, I'm good with it. It's gonna change. And it wasn't wrong. It just might have changed. And so I felt good about it. And so people who wanted to try to take their shots, I look at it like this, man. If most people don't punch down, most people try to punch up. And that's what it was. It's people trying to punch up. So why am I going to waste my time punching down? Because I'm already past you. So it don't matter to me anymore.
That's right.
Enough said. Lucky Lefty podcast. All right, your turn, Left. You had all day. We've been waiting.
Just disloyal, man. Where's the loyalty in college football at all? I mean, where's the loyalty to the amounts of gas that it took to fill up that jet to fly to these homes, and the hands that prepared the food in these meetings, and the trust that Marcus Freeman put into you guys and vice versa to get a real relationship established, just to be ruined by a Chase account number. This is where, you can tell the type of players that go to these schools aren't staying long. I know, Peyton, because first of all, who wants to be in Oregon? Let's talk about that. Who wants to really be out there in Oregon? And we've seen this episode before with Oregon, because look at Justin Flo, number one player, number one linebacker in the class, leaves out of Oregon after a couple years. Seven McGee, a receiver that was a top receiver in the class, leaves out of Oregon. Oregon's whole team is a transfer and a bunch of new guys that they bought the other day, because it doesn't make any sense. Oregon's coming out of nowhere, pulling guys left and right. We know why Bama's doing it. Bama just seems to find a way. Them last couple of days, they're like, you know what? Let's go ahead and just make this call, man.
Just to point out, the last time Bama did not make the college football playoff, they brought in the class with Bryce Young and Will Anderson. Nick Saban responds. He responds. It's not just NIL. Like,
he warned them.
He warned them about that. And then when he saw unsatisfactory play on the field, he responds. He's done it. So them having the number one class doesn't shock me. Now, I will say this. When I saw Caden Proctor, I thought this was one of the most disrespectful tweets of the day. Caden Proctor, when he signed his letter of intent, was asked about leaving Iowa, and he said, I felt like I was settling. And I said, dude, that's wow. Wow.
These kids have no idea.
Wow.
Because people in our profession allow them to be these kind of disrespectful little children.
Man,
that's why.
And the disrespect to the Peyton Bowen commitment. Just saying it didn't feel right. Your mom felt the same way. It's like, this doesn't feel right, you going to Oregon. She had to hide her face in shame and guilt that her son would go cross Marcus Freeman's back like that. For what? My thing is, for what? Dante Moore found out real quick it doesn't get sweet. Because once the bank account doesn't change after a couple days after they made all them promises, you start looking at the coaching staff being like, are y'all even going to be here? Them coaches are so young over at Oregon, so fresh and so new, they might not even last 2 or 3
Dan
years.
Lanning's trying to buy himself back into the SEC, y'all.
So
can we be real about that?
Facts.
Win now so I can get back in the SEC.
The fickle structure that Oregon is holding up under that Phil Knight bag, it won't last. And we've seen the episode with Texas A&M already. They lost 17 players. Mostly new.
Number one class.
With
Greatest.
the pseudo.
This is what they said, Malik. They said greatest recruiting class of all time. How's it looking a year later?
Don't even have half the players they started with. So this whole story of we're just going to buy the best players and then hope for the best, it doesn't last, and they're going to regret it. Peyton will be in the transfer portal because the coach is going to leave at some point. Because that's a fast food program. Oregon's a fast food program. We know that. SC's a fast food program. We know that. Texas fast food program. We know that too. Texas A&M fast food program. All these empty calorie, high caloric intake type of places where you get a bunch of nothing. They all full. All of them full. Peyton Bowen probably feels full. Dalen Austin from out here in Pauley that switched from LSU to Oregon is probably full. They think it's all good calories. But what happens when you go to a nice restaurant like Benihana's or something, and then you feel all full and you leave and you hungry 5 minutes later? At a place like Notre Dame, that's where you get home cooking. That's where you get like 5 hours just to make the mac and cheese.
Like Mama Zaire.
Like Mama Zaire, I'm like, where the food at? Oh, I'm still cooking, baby. It's still going. You might have to go get you a snack or something. Because we building it from the ground up. When it's from scratch, it take a little bit more when to add the measurements. We're not making box macaroni. Oregon's making box macaroni because it's quick. It's fast. It'll fill you up real quick.
Quick satisfaction.
But we all know that every player at Oregon that left was still hungry. If the number one player leaves, what happens? What's that say about your program? How does the number one player in the class of 2021? Was the shoes not enough? Was the bag not big enough? Because you was fresh on Instagram. I mean, I thought you was like little babies, like, an artist or something. You fresh, got all the newest, but that wasn't good enough, was it? So it just shows you the differences between a fast food program like Oregon and a program like Notre Dame that we got kids that want to come back. We got kids that we got to be like, look, I know you had a great 4 years, but that fifth one, you might have to move on, brother. You might have to find another home cook. But they're like, but the food here is so good. I get well fed. Not just football. I got the resources. I got the alumni network. You be playing all over the world. And I can't come back. So in a day where transfer portal is so hot and so tempting and attractive, for Notre Dame, we stand alone. We may have 2 or 3 kids leaving, but that's because it was a conversation that was
Right.
That's because it was like we need to clear out, this is a good country club. We got people want to get in and not leave. So that gives you the hallmarks of what a great program is going to be and what it is currently. And for us to be 8-4 and not have the whole team leaving when they could. We wasn't, because if we're not stopping nobody from leaving, but we putting a little gate up if you want to come. We ain't just taking anybody either. So to be as picky as we are and as direct as we are with no NIL, because we know if we get in the NIL space, it's over with. Like you said, Driskell, we just close our eyes and say blank check everybody.
And I know the cats that would write those checks. And
we even had the people that can do it. But what's different about us is that we got what a lot of people don't got, and that's a real culture. When you got a real culture, that's what people stay for. What's the best thing about HBC homecomings? HBCU homecomings are great because of the culture. You got people that don't even go to the school, can't wait to go to the HBCU homecoming because of the culture. Ain't no great resources at these HBCUs where you go to a big event hall with a gala and it might be a high school gym size, but it's gonna be packed.
And it's gonna be lit.
It is gonna be lit. And it's gonna be all we can be. You're gonna talk about it all year. So it just shows you that with a strong culture and that 4 for 40 and that coaching staff and all the bits and pieces included, Notre Dame is the place you want to be. I bet you if we asked Dante right now, yeah, he fell on UCLA. He wasn't thinking UCLA before he got there. He hoping that the Oregon thing would work out. He was like, oh, I already see what this is. I don't have to play a snap and know that a 5-star quarterback is leaving Oregon. We had Kenny Minchie call up and say, hey, I heard y'all got tryouts. We got guys that want to be at Notre Dame. Wasted no time. They say, hey, I saw that help wanted sign in the front. Yolanda, the ghoul. What's up? I come up and, see what and it worked out perfectly. We got a great quarterback in this class and next class because they believe in the culture. The guys that stayed believe in the culture. We got kids in the recruiting class that signed today believe in the culture, still recruiting guys. And that's why I'm not too upset. I'm upset that he made his mom upset.
Right.
Peyton Bowen. You make your mama look crazy like that. She was clapping and all excited, and then you hurt her heart. Talking about it don't feel right at Notre Dame. What do you mean it doesn't feel right? But the thing is, what we're doing at Notre Dame makes us, as a fan base, we don't have to be jealous. We don't have to be upset because we know where we're going. If you ask the Oregon program today where they're going, they would have no idea. They're just like, look, we just got a good class. We don't have no vision for what this program looks like. We just got here yesterday.
We don't even know if we're going to be in this conference in a couple of years.
They don't even know. They don't even know how much it rains over there. You got these kids going into the middle of nowhere out there in Oregon where nobody's going to care about them. And they're going to realize, they be like, man, we on the other side of the country where nobody's watching us for real. We're a regional team. Yeah, I got a big bag from Oregon, but spend it on what? Rain gear? What you going to buy? Designer raincoats? Designer rain boots?
Hiking gear? Umbrellas?
What, you want to get sponsored by Trail Mix? There's no market out there. So you guys are going out there for a bag that won't last very long. And let's talk about it. It's a loan, really. It's really a loan. So that means the expectations is you need to work this loan off.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not getting truly developed because you're malnourished. When you're getting fast food every day up there, it looks great. I can eat the McDonald's fries every day, but I'm not going to grow from it. I'm not going to develop from it. I might have, some issues after it. But at Notre Dame, you're going to get everything doing it the right way. And I think college football should value doing it the right way over them bags. And it's okay because we knew Brandon Davis Swain. That was a.
Are you going to 24? You about to tap on 20?
We knew Brandon Davis Swain. He wasn't serious. We could tell. We could tell already. Jay Lamar. I don't have too much to say about it only because we got Jadarian Price with a whole bunch of years left. And I like that running back room.
Jeremiah Love.
Another. So he did it out of attrition, knowing that I might not get the rock, and that's okay. Because when you look at a Notre Dame roster like us, you like, man, it's kind of stacked for real. So I'm not going to flip on Notre Dame because I'm chasing the bag. I'm flipping because I want to play at other places.
Right.
And
he was straight with Notre Dame. Notre Dame knew this over a month ago that he was thinking about this.
That's right.
But he was having second
like, man,
thoughts.
the way y'all running that rock and all them years and boys got left, shit, I might not shine for a couple of years. And, I can go shine at Oregon because that's fast food. I might be out there 1 year and I can leave and go somewhere else.
Yeah, ain't no drive-through at Notre Dame, bro. We don't have no drive-through.
And what y'all gonna do at y'all 5-star products, big time athletes in Oregon? Nobody cares. What Stephen A say? We don't care. You just go every Saturday when y'all play at 12 in the morning in hot ass Oregon or in the middle of the rain in Oregon. Y'all gonna be watching us on prime time continuously. Big games. And that's what the value that Notre Dame has. It's not about the beginning. It's about what you work for when you get there. And when you get there and you work for what you deserve, there's no better gift on the planet for college football player like at Notre Dame, especially at that quarterback position. And Dante Moore is going to find that out. UCLA is another good school. It's good. But if he watched anything about UCLA, nobody goes to the games. They didn't go to the game until the last one. So what you really going for?
You mean when you needed two teams from the same city to finally fill up a stadium?
From the same city.
That's what I'm saying. That's the only way they can fill up a stadium is when you put both fan bases from that city into one stadium, and it still wasn't full.
Still wasn't full. And nobody's traveling from the campus to even go to Rose Bowl because the traffic is crazy. So I think that, the players that flipped today or the players that decided not to come to Notre Dame is quite all right, because the ones that did come, I mean, I don't know if y'all saw those commitment videos, but they some great writers. Yeah. For their little highlight video. I was like, okay, Rico Flores, what you trying to write scripts or something? You got a nice little intro. They all had a nice, unique intro and doing it right and for the right reasons. So I feel really good about what we're bringing in, and I'm not worried about what flipped on us. Yeah, it would be great to have a Keon. I'm the only one I'm upset about is Keon, because I really think Notre Dame deserves a Terminator at that DN rush position. Not that Fauci wasn't, but I want some raw masculine energy at that DN position, and I think that we could have got that with Keon. Other than that, I'm really not worried, because you know why? We have development, and we've shown it. Ben Morrison, Jaden Mickey. You can even give credit to a Drew Pine, because anywhere else in the country, Drew Pine's not going 8-4. What you think Arizona State record is going to be their first year with a coach that's 2 years older than me? Damn near 8-4. Probably not. They'll probably go 6-6 first year. But that's why when you come to Notre Dame, you get better. Whether we're making you better or you get better by osmosis because you're around some of the best coaches and talent in the country, undisputedly. So Peyton Bowen, the thing why I'm not upset also is because you wasn't going to play the first year. Because we got dudes. You going to be out there. You're going to be out there. But you're not making the impact because of what we have on the talent already. We got a lot of talent on this roster that's developed for another year, that's going to see what they look like in spring and fall and develop and compete. And I'm expecting us to be a much better secondary unit, a much better linebacker unit next year with the young guys we got and the guys coming back. I think we're going to be very solid defensively. So defensively, I'm not worried because we got Marcus Freeman. Now, offensively, we saved face with that Kenny Minchie that pickup, because I was really about to get on Tommy for not having a dominant 23 quarterback and skipping a whole class to go to 24. So for us to rally like we have, we got 3 great receivers. We got a great running back. We got I think could be a pretty dynamic quarterback with Kenny Minchie in there. We got great supporting pieces with the tight ends. I don't know how we find these tight ends, but we get the biggest, strongest. We know how to shop for them tight ends, but I'm like, oh, that sucker big. I don't know if he's going to play tackle and tight end. He might play both. So we definitely doing it right, keeping tight end use strong. And, of course, the offensive line. We don't care about no Elijah Page. Elijah Page might not even be the best O-line recruit SC got. So we know what the development on the O-line would look like. Blake Fisher in the year 3, spectacular. I already know. It's going to look spectacular. Them freshmen coming in, we had the one, I think the kid had red hair or something. What's his name?
Next year's class?
No, the guy that just signed this year. The hard-working kid.
Joe Wadding?
Yes. Love him. We get them guys that be like, I know I don't know much about you now, but I'll know about you during the season. Because when he gets them hands, when he got like them art, you know how you get the ceramics class? Did you ever take a ceramics class, Shaun? And you know how you mold that thing?
I always wanted to, right?
And you get on that wheel, you get the mold in that thing just right, man. Them Harry Heaston ceramic hands are real nice. He can take a block of clay and shape that thing into some base thing that how you
on some Demi Moore ghost type stuff.
Masterwork.
Right.
Masterwork.
Y'all weren't joking when you say you spin it different. Y'all going ghost references. I just got this vision of Shaun sitting behind Malik at the
pause. Look, Pause. Lucky Lefty podcast. We spin it different.
We spin it different. Last but not least, Marcus Freeman is not begging anybody because we don't negotiate with terrorists. We ain't negotiating with you. Look, this is Notre Dame. We get violated Victorians that can't even get recruited here. So we on all y'all. We let y'all know right now.
We don't negotiate.
If we want you, you gonna know about it. But we're not playing no games with you because we don't negotiate with that. You come here if you want to get better, you want to get a part of this experience. And if not, you just gonna look crazy and make your mom cry. You're gonna make your mom cry. Moms love Notre Dame.
Always.
Always. We the number one mom school in the country. And we proved it at signing day. We got the number one recruit's mom crying because she knows her son made a young mistake. Young, just a young fella out there just chasing the frivolous things of life. But that's okay because a year development at Oregon, supposedly, that transfer portal gonna be hot, and we're gonna be looking. We're not gonna forget, but we're gonna be looking for you. So it's
just so you know, I have to make sure these kids are basically holding these universities hostage. And that's the terrorist connection that Malik was saying. He didn't actually literally call somebody a terrorist.
If you need that explained to you, you're the problem.
I just want to make
you're
sure
the problem.
It's explained.
If you think, okay, can I be Malik's stat guy? Malik can go on his rant, and then I can back it up with stats.
Dude, he's 22 minutes in.
I got a couple things because I like to say, hey, look, you went on your tangent, but let's put some facts to those. Let's put some statistical facts to those verbal stats. Oregon this year played BYU at home. Notre Dame played BYU in Las Vegas. There were 8,000 more people at the Notre Dame game than there were at the Oregon game at Oregon. Fact. The last game that Oregon played against its in-state arch rival, there were 28.8 thousand people at that game. Do y'all know how many games that Oregon played this year where there was over 60,000? There were 60,000 people or more in the stadium. Do y'all have an idea on what that number is? The answer is uno. And guess what it was? The opener against Georgia.
And Georgia didn't even sell it out.
Right. Notre Dame played a whopping 2 games with below 60,000 people, and that's partly because the stadiums didn't hold that many people. North Carolina and Syracuse. Right? 2 games.
2 games.
Oregon 1 game over 60. Notre Dame 2 games under 60. The Navy game in Baltimore would have been Oregon's second highest attended game of the season behind the Georgia game in Atlanta.
Them jersey colors ain't bringing out the fans? Oh, don't tell me that.
The Notre Dame Marshall game would have been, you guys want to know where that would have stacked up on Oregon's great start to the season? The Marshall game for Notre Dame Marshall had more people in attendance than the Oregon-Georgia game.
Even Georgia from that day. That's why they showed up. Marshall knew they had something that day. That's why they came. But you got to think, when people come to our games, it's an experience. It ain't no rival game or no visiting team. This is Notre Dame. They coming to take pictures. They might even leave the bookstore with some Notre Dame stuff, and they be like, "Why you shopping for the?" Because this is a once in a lifetime place. They might leave with a Notre Dame blanket. Get them a little Notre Dame.
There's a lot of people in Georgia that got Notre Dame gear at their house that they didn't have before 2017.
They started red and went red and green by the time they left Notre Dame Stadium.
Christmas in September, baby.
they just want to be there.
Yep.
And that's the difference between us and Oregon. Yeah, Oregon got great jerseys. Nobody cares. Yeah, they got some great players. Nobody cares. Yeah, they got Phil Knight. Nobody cares. Because it's in Oregon. Y'all have bigger cross-country meets for Nike than any football game. Because you know why? They got steeplechases that are great in Oregon, where you run in the mud, you run up some mountains and through the forest. It's like running in Narnia. We're a football town. A football town. People come for football and low gas prices. You go to Oregon, you trying to hunt, fish, swim in the river, get rained on, grow a garden maybe. Football's like 15th on the list. And you know why? Because
Build your militia house up in the woods.
Even good. Who recruits players out of Oregon? Nobody. So, in comparison to all these teams that are having pseudo great classes, we'll be at the end of the road 3 or 4 years later with guys that graduated. LSU graduated 3 guys last year, or 3 people last year, and the third one was in the building, so they counted her as a part of the 3 that graduated from LSU football team. But you look at Notre Dame, we're going to have graduates, we're going to have NFL players, and even the ones that leave early coming back. Kyle's on campus right now.
This is great.
Kyle's on campus right now taking classes with his pockets full from the NFL. Still coming back. No, they can't stay away. LSU graduated 2 football players. Now, what is that? They got a team full of hundreds of guys and graduated 2. So let me tell you why we are the sustaining program in college football that you want to be a part of. Because you're going to finish. It's hard. It ain't meant for everybody, but we don't recruit everybody, especially with terrorists. So the kids that come to Notre Dame are guys that want to finish and have great careers, and we prove it every day.
This Notre Dame PSA has been brought to you by Malik Zaire, a.k.a. Lucky Lefty, right here on the Lucky Lefty podcast. He's been waiting to get that off his chest all day long. So, what happened today, happened today. Now, after that, Malik, the report is the kid didn't even fax in.
Still hasn't.
He still hasn't to this point. I was coming to you next. Now, the intel that we do have, that might be some phone calls coming into the Google, Left. Can you think? Actually, imagine this, Left.
Incoming calls.
Incoming calls to the Google. Yeah.
See what happened was
about
I
earlier
surprised
today.
too many people. I don't think they was ready for that. I think I made a mistake. I think what I did don't feel right.
You think you got another slot left in this year?
Hey, Marcus Freeman hitting dial tones on kids now. You know, he already hit the dial tone on Dante because I know he was ringing that phone. When Michigan State started being in the picture again, I know he was calling down the street from Michigan State, just on the low, because it's embarrassing. Just think you had the greatest chance to have the best choice in your life. And you played with it. You fumbled the rock. You missed the game-winning shot. You dropped the ball like the tight end from Jackson State.
Malik, he didn't take the game-winning shot. He passed up the game-winning shot.
You hit a LeBron?
He didn't miss it.
You try to get the best play and not the best shot?
Oh, dude.
Now you want to come back and try to get with the team again and say, hey, do you miss me? No, we don't miss you. Because we told you. If Sally Sue with a 4.9 can't get in, you think we're going to let her in now? No. You only get a small window. What they say the window is for recruits, players, coaches. If you miss that window, the ship has sailed.
So let me just forewarn everybody. Notre Dame fans, I don't care which side of the fence you fall on. If you want to be forgiving or you don't want to be forgiving at this point, I'm just letting you know. Some craziness might happen in the future. I'm just letting you know. Some craziness might happen. And if by chance someone becomes a part of this class in the future, be nice. Just be nice. Be nice because it's crazy right now. It's absolutely Go
Can
ahead.
we have a hypothetical, Shaun?
Yeah, yeah.
This is the whole point, and this is what, like, I went through the whole stages of grief today, right? And I spent a lot of time in anger because there was a lot more to the anger, right?
Mhm.
Especially once you hit me with, Shaun instigating during the show, like, so you were right about that, huh? But here's the thing that bothers me is because what makes me like my heart hurt a little bit for Keon, not heart hurt for him, but like why he didn't pick it is because I know that everything about Keon that's a Notre Dame kid.
Yep.
Like, that's why I love that kid, right? And he did it. I thought he did it the right way. I don't like his decision. I wish he would have done it different. Did it the right way. But I'm like, that kid would have flourished so much at Notre Dame.
Yes.
And there's a reason that Peyton Bowen was committed to Notre Dame. Like, I always just, Shaun, like, I always had like this thing in the back of my head about Peyton Bowen.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt like he was allowing himself to be pulled in two different directions. There was the side of him that is why he committed to Notre Dame, why he was Marcus Freeman's first commit. And then there was a side that was kind of being told that, no, you're this, you're that, you're this other thing, so you should care about these things.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. We're hearing so much craziness about this. I mean, y'all, we've been through it all. Malik, you went through it as a player doing this. You have teammates who went through some crazy stuff. Like you Manti's whole thing, you came a year after him, and the whole thing with him and how he chose Notre Dame, like literally woke up that morning like, I don't think I'm going to go to the school I thought I was going to go to last night, right? That stuff can happen. But the thing, it's like he didn't decide till right before. They're saying, like, you saw his mom, like, go back and watch the video.
Yeah, his mom was like, "Oh, thank God, we made the right decision."
Well, no, but if even before that, she's sitting back, leaned back up against the wall, hands in her pocket, looking not happy because she had just kind of gotten word that the choice he was going to make. Then he put the Notre Dame hat on, and she was like, and then went to
let's go.
That
exactly.
The whole thing was just so weird, and the reason I think it is weird because I don't think that is who Peyton Bowen is.
No,
and here's why I say that, Malik. Look, cats who are that way and who are just that's who they are.
Don't decide until
but it's effortless for them to act that way.
Yeah.
Peyton has had so many unforced errors on how he's conducted this whole thing. The reason I think he struggles to still to this moment say no is because I don't think that's who he ultimately is.
That's right.
Cats that's who they are, they have no problem screwing you over and then laughing at you on their way out the door.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason that Peyton's thing is so bungled and so chaotic and just like, what are you doing?
Because he's not a Dylan Edwards.
I don't think exactly. That's not who he is.
You couldn't look Marcus Freeman and smile and no pick, be like, hey, get in here, and then go to Colorado to chase Dion.
Right.
Like that Peyton Bowen wouldn't do it like that.
No.
But that's the type of kids that do that kind of stuff.
But that's what he ultimately ended up doing. And I think the reason it was so awkward and like you had that guy like, no, that don't sound right. Did you all hear that one where that dude's like, that don't sound right?
Twice.
No, that's not right.
Video. Yeah.
And there just was like this weird thing in the room where it's like people were like, dude, what are you doing, man? Why?
Yeah, like what?
Because they know, no, Peyton, that's not you.
That's not you.
That's why they acted that way. That's not you, cuz. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's not you.
And
that's what you got.
You can't say cuz without throwing up the. You say cuz, you from the West Coast.
That's right. Hey, that's right.
But the West Coast of Ohio. That's me and Malik may live in the West Coast now, but he grew up straight south of me in the same
that's
state.
Right.
Kettering, Lima. We're from the West Coast of Ohio. I don't jack up. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
Right. Our West Coast is lake houses. We ain't got no actual beaches or nothing.
You go too far of our West Coast, you end up in Indiana. You're like, nope, time to turn around. That's how I knew I missed my turn. You say, oh, well, in Fort Wayne. Like, okay, I went.
You just driving straight when you get to Indiana. You ain't going no direction but straight. And that's what I was like. Peyton Bowen is the band kid that got a little fame because he did nice in the soloist event, and everybody was hype about his little solo. And now he's a popular kid sitting at the table. Everybody said at the end of the day, the popular kids are like, "You really not one of us, but we'll take you because you hot right now."
Right.
And that's Peyton Bowen. He was hot at the last part of the recruitment where everybody's fanfare, everybody wondering where he wants to go, and all the decisions and the media and all the attention, they boosted the kid's head. Now he's like, maybe I really have to think about this again and be like, not the conventional choice that's right for me, but maybe I have to take a step out in the yonder to what all this craziness is surrounding me, and that can make me feel like I'm whole, but it doesn't.
Malik, can I ask you a question? Do you think, because he's had all these coaches in his ear, you know how coaches are on his recruiting trip. You're the greatest, you're the best, you're going to come here and do this. And you on these visits and people chanting your name and all this other kind of stuff. And I think he had been I think that's kind of what led him away from who he is, right? And I wonder, and I want to get your thoughts on this. I wonder if the reaction that people had to his decision shook him. Because I don't think he was expecting, because like you say, well, his parents are upset. His parents were not the only people in that room. His mom was not the only person in that room not happy with his decision.
I was doing this.
Right. She was not the only one. You could hear it. Some dudes in this no, that ain't right. That was the craziest thing when I listened to that side version. I'm hearing that dude like, no. And people are like, wow. Like they were just, and they weren't floored like, wow, that was fun and shocking. It was floored like, no.
You messed up.
No. Yeah.
You done messed
I
up.
wonder if that shook him a little bit. And that's why he hasn't. It's either that's one the only other option is, hey, Oklahoma, you got time to match. That's the only other option. I think it's the first one, but that would be the only other option. And that's what makes it. That's what makes it sad. That's what makes NIL that's my problem, Malik. I'm pro NIL. And I look at it from I went to D3, man. Our NIL would have been, I got a monthly Big Mac would have been my NIL because I threw a touchdown pass. I got a Big Mac, that weekend when I went to at D3, right? But NIL for me, for the players at the schools, is a wonderful thing. Everybody knows I'm for it. But the problem that I have is when it's used as enticement is kids start making decisions that are not best for them as young men. And just throwing money at a kid doesn't answer his problems.
No.
Right. And that's my thing is let these kids get their money when they get to the school and they've made the decision for the right reasons. And that's what I think is too many of these kids are making these decisions. If NIL was not a thing, Oregon's not even on the table with Peyton Bowen.
Oregon's not even on the
Austin Novosad doesn't even know where Oregon is on a map if it's not for NIL.
Yeah, Austin Novosad going for what? When I had him on Irish Players Club, Oregon wasn't even a thought. He thought more about hunting ducks than going to be a duck.
Right.
Like, I couldn't believe. And then I'm like, you don't even fit there neither.
Right.
When has Oregon ever had a quarterback from Texas? Let's just talk region and geographic. Never. Oregon is not built to handle the national recruitment that they're getting because of NIL at all. This is a regional Pac-12 team that survives with West Coast teams, and that's why they live where they live. They're not a national recruiting team like a Texas A&M, like us, like a Clemson, Ohio State. So these kids are going to be like, man, I'm stuck up here in the corner of the country with a bunch of swag that gets rained on, living in a cabin because it's eco-friendly. I can't even get no nice bachelor pad because there's no real city out here. I'm leaving.
Half the state's trying to become Idaho. I mean,
let's be real about that. Cowboy boots for Austin Novosad in Oregon. They don't sell no cowboy hats, no barbecue up there in Oregon. What is Peyton Bowen going to eat? At least we got Frankie's. We can kind of make it feel like home, So yeah, man, this Oregon is fooling kids, ruining kids' recruitment day, and kids is leaving. They're not sticking around for that. Justin Flo got 3 years left. How does that happen? How you number one recruit in the class, number one linebacker got 3 years left and leaving your program with all the shoes? That's the other thing. He got all the shoes, but he only got 2 feet. And he realized, he said, I can't wear all these shoes at the same time. I need to go somewhere where I can play. End of the
He's on the mailing list, so he can bounce now.
Yeah, he on the
he just change his address. He'll still get the shoes. Lucky Lefty Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, CFB Nation, in conjunction with Irish Breakdown. You already know Lucky Lefty Podcast. We spin it different. So yes, Irish fans. Yes, The call came into the Goog, and that led to Kenny Minchie flipping from Pitt and eventually joining the 2023 class for Notre Dame. But the incoming calls on today, it's confusing. It's confusing. I will say this, I'm reporting this as it was told to me through social media. I had at least 3 people contact me to say that their kids go to Denton Guyer. And after the announcement, there could be screaming and hollering heard coming from a classroom.
Of disappointment and anguish.
Somebody in that family was reportedly pretty upset with how things went down.
Because he's not a Travis Hunter personality. Travis Hunter, we already know he wasn't going to Notre Dame. We don't care how open this transfer portal was. We know he's going to the biggest buyer, and that's okay. But that personality is not the same.
He's never hidden that, Malik.
No, he's been honest with that.
He's not getting the adulation Travis Hunter is getting by asking for 100,000 subscribers on YouTube before he makes his announcement. They're 2 different people. Yeah, you a 5-star, but there's levels to this. Like there's 290 DNs at Georgia that look different than 290 Kurt Heinishes at Notre Dame. They both 290.
Different frames, right?
That's a different 290 down. Them shoulders a little bit, more, So just because he sees the fanfare of Travis Hunter just trailblazing as a 5-star, go anywhere in the country, people want him to go everywhere and every which way, that's not the same love for you, Peyton. They looked at it and said, okay, you are a very good player that's fit right for certain schools. Some players are fit for certain schools. Austin Novosad fits a Baylor quarterback. That's why he recommitted twice, because he's like, man, damn, this green show does fit me. Not that Forest Green up there in Oregon. They look at it like, you're not Justin Herbert, dude.
Let me report this correctly, because like I said, they reached out. There was a side room at the venue.
Right. They were in a restaurant.
Yeah. And screaming could be heard coming from said side room. Multiple sources of students that were there to celebrate.
Yeah, he got a real strong talking to. He went back in that room like, "What's up?" Everybody was like,
Look.
With that,
Shaun, you nailed it though, man. Look, his mom isn't pissed about his decision.
No.
She's pissed about how he did it. Because she knows what he'd been telling people the day before. Because she was in some of those calls. Just leave it at that, right?
Facts.
And it's one of those things where, like, look, I didn't raise you that way. And what I mean by that, it's not that I didn't raise you not to go to Oregon. It's not it. If Peyton really felt, if Peyton was truthful last week, and I don't believe he was, about how he's not picking a school because of money, he's picking for fit. If he was truthful about that, and Oregon was his choice, nobody'd care. We'd all be like, hey, best of luck to you, which is why we treat him differently than we treat Keon and Elijah Page and Kenny Minchie and Caleb Smith and Boubacar Traore, guys that flipped to Notre Dame. Because it's no different. It's not the decision, it's the how. It's a right way and a wrong way. I got no issue with what Jay Lamar did. Notre Dame was not left standing at the altar wondering, wait a minute, dude, you told us you were coming, and now you're changing your mind. Jaden Lamar had been telling Notre Dame for a minute. Now, he did kind of recommit to a degree when Marcus visited him last week, but they still knew it was a problem because he still told him he was still wanted to take a visit. So I look at that differently because I don't think it was just a thing where he was going to Oregon because he got a deal. Maybe he did. But there were legitimate reasons why he decided to not go to Notre Dame, right? Some distance-wise, some Malik you're looking at like, yo, I'm going to be part of a 7-man running back room where I'm in the bottom half easily.
Easily.
You know, as confident as he is. And so every situation is different. I have no problem with Peyton Bowen picking Oregon. I don't think it's a good choice. It's the how, and not standing up on your decision. Shaun, and you've been saying this from day one. If you want to take the money to go to a school, that's cool.
That's cool.
I wouldn't do it, right? I don't think I would do it. Not that school anyway. I'd take it from Notre Dame. but but then don't try to come tell us it's not, but it's not that. It's because of that. No, it's not, cuz. No, it's not. It's not. Just be straight with me. That's part of being a man, right? Is you make your decision and you own it. I made a decision. It didn't work out. We all do that. I transferred in college. I transferred my freshman year. I started. I've said this before, Shaun. I started as a true freshman. It's transferred anyway because I made the decision for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And no matter how much you convince yourself, I'm playing, we're winning, we finished 9-1 that year, I'm starting. No matter how much that went well, I was never happy because I made it for the wrong reasons. And that's why I'm starting and leaving, and Malik is sitting there backing up for a couple of years and bought in because you made it for the right reasons.
Yeah, and so it's harder to leave.
Right.
When you make it for the right reasons and you there for a bigger purpose than just saying, "Oh, they bought my love," it's hard to leave outside of, no, they make it extra hard with that degree, but it's hard to leave a program that you really want to be in and you really can see yourself growing, and playing is more of a right that you feel like you should earn at a place like Notre Dame outside of the expectation of playing because you're getting paid a hefty lump sum before you even get a snap. So I think that's a different pressure to have as a kid. Like Nico Imuvalita, man, you better be Peyton Manning right now. And I just think that's hard to do. But with a guy like Kenny Minchie, he's going to get the right development, and his opportunities going to come at the right time when he's ready. And I think he's going to have a better success takeoff than some of these guys that's put in some tough positions. Like Bryce got paid, but Bryce didn't play right away. He got a chance to watch Mac do it and end up, taking it up a notch, winning the Heisman. But he got the money's worth. But that's also at a program where if you cash in, you're gonna get some results 8 times out of 10. I won't say 9 times, but 8 times out of 10, Alabama, if you in a certain positions, you doing the right program, they're gonna pass you and transition you right to where you should be. Not every program can do that, but Notre Dame is gonna be a program like that. We're gonna take you in as a freshman, mold you the right way, and then transition you right to where you should be. Look at Jack Cohn. We did it with a transfer. We're producing with guys that aren't playing at other schools. And then the crazy thing is we're taking those guys that aren't playing other schools and then whooping you with them. We whooped you with a player we developed at Notre Dame off of your bench. How many people can say that in college football? But a couple programs. So I don't think that they're great with history, which most of these kids should start studying more of, especially the history of these programs. Then they would make the right decision. If you got a bunch of schools laid out in front of you, look at the history of the program. When has Oregon ever been more consistent than 5 years in a row? Never. Never. So you go into a bunch of hit and miss, lottery ticket scratch off type of schools where they scratching to hope they get the 3 that match. And then when they get there, they only got 2 that match. And now they wasting money trying to get more scratch offs. But you come to Notre Dame, we're going to give you a well-developed plan that you can follow along with. And this is just as being a top program in the country. These top players got to make these top decisions. Tennessee's another school. It's got some good elements to it, but it's a fast food program how they built it. That's why they fell apart at the end. So I think it's important that these kids get a better revision of history because it's going to help them with the NIL. Study your coaches. Study how the program's been trending. Because if it's stocks, I'm all in on Notre Dame stock. I bought low with BK. It was low. It was down there. It was cheap. Got some good stock. But, We made the right moves. Company made some things happen. That stock on the rise. I'm finna cash out in a couple years. But you got to study. You got to be involved. And I think parents should be more involved. Parents should be a little bit more involved, not in the getting the bag situation, but helping the kid understand where he's going. If I'm his mom, Peyton's mom, I'm like, you're from Texas, and you want to go to where? Your living situation wouldn't even be the same. You know, give it some thought.
Malik, can I ask you a question
Go
about this
ahead.
whole thing? I want to look at it from a different point of view. Let's put yourself in the shoes of the other Notre Dame players. Let's just say hypothetically, you get told by a kid, right? Torian Folsom calls you the night before signing day. Malik, I'm coming. It's all good. I'm coming. And then the next day he leaves and he doesn't tell you and all that kind of stuff. What would it take for you? Because you were a leader of the class in 2013. What would it take for you to say, okay, we want you back, right? Because I'm trying to put you in the shoes of the Drake Bowens and because you served that role and that you were one of the guys that served that role in that 2013 class, which is the only class in the last decade. Right. But that's the only class that's even in the conversation with this class in regard to which would actually be an interesting conversation for us to debate which class was better. But that's a different conversation for a different day. But, put yourself in Drake Bowen shoes because you were, right? I wasn't. Put yourself in Christian Gray's shoes and Braylon James's shoes and these Cat's shoes. What would you need to hear for you to be like, okay, cool, we'll take him back. We want him back. Or would it just be if he decides he wants to come back, you're cool? I mean, would it take some kind of conversation? Like you got to look me in the eye and tell me what happened or an apology, or would you just be like, hey man, if you screwed up, you want to be back, let's do it. Let's roll. What would it take for you?
Man, it depends if he out there balling.
Okay. So if he goes out there and balls and you
can help the team win right now, I can forgive a lot because what they say, when you got talent up here, I could take the BS with it. But if you out there go to Oregon, because the BS meter is up there, you already, I'm looking at you funny. If you go to Oregon and you halfway doing it, oh yeah, ain't no coming back. We don't need.
No, I mean now, like now.
Oh,
like
right
for him,
now,
let's
if he was
hypothetically like right now, like you just
no,
got.
if I was in the class right now and he didn't send that paper in, I would have called him like, "Hey, big head, what's up? You didn't send it in. Do they not have fax machines over there?
Right.
Because we got a fax machine ready at South Bend. It's hot. I'm standing next to it. You can, you fax that thing up. I'll give you the number right. I would do a little bit of convincing.
Sure.
But it's just I know as a kid, it's a lot to go through. You excited. So when you excited, you thinking of all the possibilities that can happen. It's a decision I'm making now, but I'm thinking like, man, I'll be Mr. Oregon Duck. And I got the jersey and the shoes and I'm going to be going crazy on campus and cars. Yeah. So as a kid, I can understand this a lot, but that's why you have to have a good team around you too. It's unfortunate.
But what's the vibe though, Left? What's the vibe once you report though?
Is it once he signs?
I'm
Is
getting
it
in the
good?
group chat. Can you believe this sucker, man? This sucker done just flipped on us like this. We ain't never talking to him, man. I hope we see him in the bowl game. I'm going crazy because it's 11 and a half months of recruiting, you big head. And we depending on it because we say, okay, we batch your roommates. Okay, you gonna be my roommate, cool. Make sure we gonna stay in this room. Okay, we gonna make sure we get in there and start setting goals. Like our class, we was setting goals. Me and Smooth setting goals. Oh, we gonna do this. We gonna do this. Make sure we get this in there. Hey, we got Will coming in. Make sure you say something to him. So yeah, I think it's just every class is a little different. I think our class, it was just maybe something in the air, something in the recruiting at the time where, you got the right mix of guys that all believed in the same thing. When you got a guy, Drake Bowen, who's holding a strong class together, getting guys to buy in, and the guy jumps off the ship, we might throw a life raft out there, but, if we get too far, I don't see you no more. Yeah. Hey, you might have to shoot a flare in the sky or something because we ain't turning around. No, we ain't turning around. We're going one direction, and that's straight to the national championship island.
So yeah, that's where we sit, Notre Dame fans. The saga continues. I have received a couple of eye rolls, per se, when asking around about certain things that are taking place right now with this situation. And Brian, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I mean, for me, Shaun, at this point in time, dude, it's basically I don't really care what people tell me until I just don't, because we've been there before, and I mean no disrespect to Peyton when I say this. I've already done enough of that. The words don't matter to me anymore. I'll engage in the conversation if he actually signs. Other than that, it's just to me, it's all words. How's it any different now than him just not wanting to tell his friends, here's why I did it. So I honestly don't care about the calls that I get and the texts that I get and what's going on and all that. I mean, it's all happening, right? It's just the point where it's like, okay, been there. Let me know when the paperwork shows up. That's at this point in time, I don't really care to engage anymore. But because here's the deal, let's be real about this. From what I've been able to gather, there's no way he doesn't come back into class without having a real heart-to-heart Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, no way. Not in this class.
Right.
Not with these guys.
Doesn't happen.
Oh, well, no. They have to do that Zoom call all over again.
All over
Right.
again.
Like this has to be an apology to the entire class. Like, yo.
Because it's going to look selfish. Because you got a bunch of guys that are really committed for the right reason.
Because if you do it, Malik, everything Marcus Freeman said today means nothing if you allow your best player to do everything opposite of what you say you're about.
Exactly. If we just let him reel back in, Marcus Freeman's message won't stick.
No. He's got to come back and do it the right way. But again, I don't see it happening. I mean, he made his decision for a reason. He may have buyer's remorse because of how people reacted. But for all I know, that means he's now going to go to Oklahoma. I like at this point in time, like
compound mistake.
If Peyton Bowen said, you know what, I got caught up. We've been there. Everybody's been there. I got caught up, man. I acted a fool. We've all been there, right? To some level. And he was like, this is where home is. I mean, Shaun is the prodigal son, right? Like, hey, you're still that's what these kids are going to say. You're still our brother, man. As long as you own up and you say you're coming here for the right reasons, right? Not because the check bounced. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be for the right reason. They said they're going to give me this, but they didn't. So I'm coming back. Nope. It's got to be for the right reasons. The kids will take them back. But I'm just not going to believe that's actually going to happen until it happens. And that's why I say, like, all the stuff I'm getting, and I mean, I'm getting texts and calls and intel, and I believe it all. I believe that these people are being told that, and the things that are happening. But I believe that what was told last night, and it still went down the way that it went down. So until I see it, what I hear about him anymore just doesn't matter to me, because that I'm like this, Shaun. People say this, like, well, I'm as a Christian, I gotta be forgiving. True, but nowhere in the Bible does say forgiving mean I forget. Nowhere in the Bible does it say, I forgive you. Now I'm just going to let you keep doing it to me over again. Right? You punch me in the face every time you see me, Malik, and say, oh, my bad. I forgive you. And then you do it again the next time. Eventually, I'm like, I won't be around that cat no more. You know what I mean? It's like that.
Yeah, don't rob the bank and then try to get the bank money back.
Well, I said I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgave you, but I'm just not putting myself in the position to get punched in the face anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just...
We're not turning the other cheek. That's not what we're doing here.
I'm not okay. I gave you both cheeks, like the Bible said. Okay, I don't got any more left, so I'm out. Yeah. I'm out. I got to see it.
No, so this is where we reside right now with this situation, Fighting Irish fans. It's bonkers. I told Bryan on the phone, like, I'll put it out there. If other people don't want to put it out there, that's fine. Peyton Bowen was on the call last night with the rest of the commits. Now you can say he was perpetrating, whatever you want to. That's information. He was on the call with the other commits last tonight, and everyone came away. Everyone I spoke to came away from that representation as we're locked in. As a class, we're locked in to the point that I think both of us felt like around 11 o'clock last night, both of us myself and Bryan felt like this is happening because it had to be proven to us. Like, still not believing it. And we talked to some of the guys in the class, and they were very reassuring.
Damn. It was just last night.
And then I'm
He
talking
wasn't
about
the only one in that call. And
no,
so like
just
there's a
last night,
reason that the lady to his left acted the way that she acted.
Mm-hmm.
bro. The call that was taking place while we were on air with John Garcia Jr.
Mm-hmm.
That call,
You done fooled everybody. That's doing it the wrong way for real.
he present, representing one thing.
And then you put the hat on. After
That
you
was the
done
worst part.
got off the call.
Yeah.
Yeah, we ain't taking you back.
I gotta say, there's only one time I've ever seen a Notre Dame kid throw a Notre Dame hat that I enjoyed it, and that happened last week when Aeneas. Did you see that one, Malik? When Aeneas Williams committed?
I didn't
So
see
we knew he committed. He silently committed Notre Dame against Clemson.
Oh,
he
yeah.
announced on Friday that he was coming, right? So he gets up there. He's got like the Notre Dame hat. It was like Notre Dame. It was like Tennessee, like Bama, Tennessee, and Kentucky or something like that, right? So we're thinking he's going to go Notre Dame because, like, when the kids are doing the hat game, you do not want to be the school that gets the hat picked first.
Yeah.
Does that mean your hat is getting chucked? So
and that's so played out. They got that from what was it, 2000?
But this is good though, right? So he picks the Notre Dame hat up first. We're live, dog. Like we're live doing it something, and this is about to be the worst live show ever. So he picks up the hat and he chucks. He didn't just drop it; he chucks it off screen, and we're like, "What's about to happen?"
Yeah.
So he does all this kind of stuff, and then he picks up a dog from under the table, and the dog was dressed up like a leprechaun. It was so great. It was so great.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
The dog dressed up.
He put some new stuff on the hat game because I'm like, he chucked the Notre Dame hat. Malik, there was no Notre Dame hat left on the table.
Yeah.
It was gone.
Don't do it to me like that, man.
Picked up the dog, and the dog was dressed up like the leprechaun. It was great.
Woo.
Great.
But I like Aeneas Williams. He's going to be nice.
Yeah. Oh, no
He's
doubt.
going to be real nice.
Yeah,
he's
like good at running back.
Brandon Hillman, as athletic, just
that's your favorite. That's your favorite player in the class.
That's my favorite player.
That's because he's from Virginia, Shaun. That's why. That's just.
I love Brandon Hillman because he's one of those players like a Kadarius Toney, man. Kadarius Toney was playing everything in high school and just a dynamic guy. I feel like defenders will be afraid to tackle guys like him and Aeneas Williams, and so it's going to be interesting. I think those are two special athletes that are different than an athlete like a Rico Flores, who does a little bit of everything, but he's more specialized towards playing receiver. These other two, Brandon Hillman and Aeneas Williams, just get him the ball. You just get him the rock and be like, I'm gonna just back up and let you do your thing. So, Marcus Freeman and recruiting these guys that are unicorns in the fact that they're not position specific, but can be multiple positions, aka Xavier Watts. I think that's the trend of where this team is going, and it's going to make us harder to beat when it gets later in the season because we can mismatch and shift players all around. It's like puzzle pieces. We can just make it work,
which is crazy, right? And to sum all of this up before we start talking about our favorite parts of this class to get out of here, we already know who's on the petty train tonight. Like, y'all don't even have to guess.
Wasn't that the first hour and a half of the show?
No, you already know.
I thought I know I'm new here, Shaun, but I thought we dove into the petty train at the beginning.
Petty train is sold out. He's the conductor, engineer, everything, waiter, whatever it's all him tonight. He is the petty train tonight.
That's right.
But we'll sum it up with this. I don't know what your intentions were, but it comes across as if your intentions were to deceive. That's the way it's coming across. And if you are willing to face the music, face the staff, and face the commits in the class, and convey what really went on, who am I to say whether or not you should be taken back? It's not up to me. It's not up to me. Because I'm either way, with or without you, when they kick off in Ireland, I'm going to be bout it with my fandom. In 2023. Like, my fandom doesn't change.
That's right.
At all. It doesn't change at all. And that is why I hope everyone sits on this. It's really not about us. It's really about that staff, the program, and those young men that he supposedly had a brotherhood with. You know, because you could see it on several of their faces. The interviews we had after he made his announcement, you could see like the guys were kind of like,
They were hurt.
yeah,
They were hurt.
yeah,
There's nothing worse than being betrayed by somebody you love.
yeah. You know, so that's it. I love this class.
Yep.
I really do. Malik, you pointed it out when you were talking. Like, you have a full offensive line, right? Kenny Minchie might not be the best in the class, but he might be the most important player in the class. Jeremiah Love is just a flat. To stack him and Jadarian Price is crazy. It's crazy, right? To go and get Caleb Smith. All right, cool. And then to stack the Virginia Tech Caleb Smith on top of the.
Is he gonna put his hand in the dirt or what? Because every time I see him, he adding weight.
Oh, well, I mean, he's a big dude. No, he's a big dude.
260 receiver or something like that. Like,
Usually he's like 225, 230.
I don't know how you run with that unless
You said 260?
And the man looks stocky, like big, like you. I don't, you know, he don't have no Rico in him where he's kind of like, okay, I can see it. He's, I mean, you know, maybe we got a plan for him. We trying to expand the tight ends role to a outside type of hybrid.
Yeah. Yeah.
We saw Brock Bowers and said we gotta get something like that.
You know,
yeah, but Brock runs like a receiver.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brock runs like a receiver. That's right.
I think this class eliminates a few things. Notre Dame is very close. Mike Mickens wants to be able to play man-to-man. They're building up the depth and getting very close to being able to lock teams down in man-to-man. They're getting very close. It might have to be when this 23 class goes into their second year and you get the 24 class and you have a kid like Carson Hobbs coming in behind and you really have that depth of guys that want to be up in your face competing against the best. Bryan, we talked to Christian Gray. He talked about the schedule he had this year when that dude was facing Carnell Tate, Jeremiah McClellan, Ryan Wingo, Aaron Scott. Like, dude, he's coming into town like, dude, I faced the best all year. Like, I'm not afraid to compete.
Shaun, if you look at Notre Dame's schedule next year, it won't be till game 4 that Christian Gray plays a receiver better than the cats he played in high school this year.
Facts. That's a fact.
Navy, Tennessee State, and Central Michigan.
Maybe. Right?
Name a dude on that roster that's going to be better than Cardinal Tate, Ryan Wingo, or Aaron Scott.
So you talk about that. And then for the last 2 years, the linebacker position. And I know fans, you've been clamoring for these youngsters to play. Like, please play. Please play Prince Collin. Please play the 22 linebackers. You're going to be clamoring for the 23 linebackers. They're coming. They're coming. It's
Shaun,
almost
these
time.
coaches aren't going to like me if they don't play Jaden Osbury. You know this.
Yeah, we know. That's your guy. We know. That's your guy. We know. But
I'm mad he ain't playing in the bowl game. I mean, I know it's not legal, but I'm mad they ain't playing him in the bowl game.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw somebody earlier say, you know, that they question the depth chart at the safety position. That's fine.
Sure.
That's fine. That's fine. And some of you might question uh, the lack of experience on the defensive line going into next season. That, that's fine.
That I
That's
have a
fine.
harder time with.
That's fine. I'll tell you one thing, and Malik, you can take it from here. I don't give a darn who they bring in at quarterback because he's going to be much better than he was at his previous spot. I can guarantee that. I would lay a bet on that.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna make him better, but we need a guy that makes us better.
Yeah.
This is not. This is not. Yeah, this is not Graham Mertz going to Florida.
Oh,
That
yeah.
dude couldn't handle the
Whoa.
Big Ten, and you think he's about to handle the SEC?
With a coach that might not be there after this year,
Man,
making
look,
transfer hires like that.
look. Let me tell you something. You can take, and we have favorites in the chat every show we do, right? Names get thrown out there. This kid, that kid. No, this kid sucks. That kid sucks. There's all those names you put out there. If they come to Notre Dame, they'll be better than they were at the previous spot.
And
It doesn't matter.
What they had.
Yeah, and they're gonna and I think that Notre Dame does their part. You come to Notre Dame, they're gonna give you what they tell you. They're gonna develop you how they said they was. But we need a quarterback to bring his part. Where he's like, oh, I just need to mix this with this, and I'm gonna get that a championship.
Man,
We got guys bringing half seasonings, forgetting stuff. When you come to a potluck, you got to come with your offering.
yeah.
We got guys coming empty-handed, want to leave with plates. How you gonna come empty-handed but want to leave with all the plates? No,
That is disrespectful. That is disrespectful.
The rule is, if you want a plate to take home, you have to bring something to the potluck. Jack Cone came with his empty pockets and a missing shirt. We done clothed him. We done got him some swag. He done left with some cologne, that good QB musk on him. And he ended up leaving and getting a hot date in the NFL. He wasn't getting no play, couldn't get a date coming to us. He left with a nice shorty on his arm, leaving the Notre Dame program, which is the NFL. So we need a guy coming in that makes good mac and cheese. We got to ask at the potluck, who made this?
Are you hungry, bro? Did you eat before you got on the show? Because your food references tonight.
Oh, boy.
They're two on point. That's
that comes with
the problem.
Oh,
man. We about to dig in for dinner. We like, wait. Where's that one dish from the QB that he said we heard about it all week? That potato salad is rocking. We can't even start the meal without the QB's dish.
Poor Bryan is yawning, man. He's been up since like 5 in the morning.
Bro, I went to bed at 4:30, got back up at 6. It's been a long couple
yeah,
days.
we gotta help our man out.
I'm sorry, I was just watching the end of the men's basketball game. That's kind of what put me to sleep.
Yeah, that can be a snooze fest.
Can I be a mini petty train, like a little petty train?
Oh,
like
absolutely.
Petty train?
Absolutely.
Y'all, it could be worse. We could be covering the men's basketball team right
now. Yeah.
They just lost to 3-10 Florida State.
Florida State is awful, too.
Yeah, they just lost to them.
Oh, wow. Was it at home?
No.
Oh.
They had the ball at the end of the game, down 1. J.J. Starling had a great take with like 30 seconds left to score. Just said, okay, I'm a 5-star. I'm about to score on you. And then he didn't touch the ball again the rest of the game. But Trey Works just threw a ball away, just straight threw it away with 3 seconds left. Like they had a nice play drawn up. They had a guy breaking free over the middle, and he just airmailed it. And it's such a bad, poorly coached team.
Yeah.
Bunch of veterans.
Yeah.
That's
my narrative. The defensive backfield. And the fact that, they're going to be able to play man-to-man, championship man-to-man at the DB position. What's the narrative that you think was eradicated? What do you have, Bryan? What narrative? Go ahead, Malik.
This is your show, Malik.
I think the narrative that's been established is that we're not crying over spilled milk, but we damn sure ain't putting that milk back in the bottle either. Just want to get that paper towel, wipe that thing up, And what's left is left, but it's gonna be good though. It's gonna be good.
Well, work with what you got.
We got strawberry milk too. We different. We ain't get the regular.
Now,
We got
just wait a minute. You using that quick powder from back in
No,
the day, the
no,
Nestle Quick?
United Dairy Farmers, they got strawberry milk ready.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Driskell's like, yep.
Hey, United Dairy Farmer, wish they had it out here in Cali, man. Give me some good Superman ice cream, and hey, they got everything over there. UDF.
Hey, they might use powder too, but I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't
That's
see
the
it.
difference. So in my head, it's that pink cow that I saw on the way in.
That's
That's
right.
where
It's
it
the
came
pink
from.
cow. Yeah, that's right. Care if it's real or not.
Oh my
It
God.
tastes good. I don't care. Is it my turn, Shaun?
Oh, you're asking now? Usually you just say, man, I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I just got to get
Well,
this
He's
point.
tired, man. He
A,
been
I'm
up to this
tired.
for
B,
real.
not my show, right? Trying to be respectful. I'm a guest here. I want to be invited back. It's like I
That's right.
behave myself.
Man,
I'm not
you've
coming
been here
like
before.
my feet up on the table, right?
You've been here before. You're allowed to go in the fridge.
Right.
It's all
I'm
good.
not walking in all Rick James style. F yo couch, F yo. I'm not doing
Yeah,
all that stuff. I want to
for
be brought
sure.
back. I don't want to get beat in the legs. I got two, Shaun. I got two narratives. Number one is, can we
Okay.
stop with the Notre Dame can't recruit skill players?
Oh yeah.
Stop. You're beating Bama for DBs. You're beating LSU in Ohio State for DBs. You're recruiting dudes. Everybody talking about, oh, you lost your two fastest players. And I keep saying, no, they didn't. Their fastest player signed today. His name's Michael Bell. It was never Dylan Edwards.
Yeah.
It was never Peyton Bowen. Right?
Michael Bell's fast.
Yeah. Christian Gray, 6'1", ran a 4.41 at Ohio State. Ran a 4.42 at Notre Dame. Right? Braylon James. Jaden Greathouse is a dog. I've talked to people to say, yo, Caleb Smith's going to be the best of those four kids. I'm just telling you right now. Talk to somebody else I know out and not even from Cali. It's like, don't be shocked if Rico Flores catches more balls than anybody else in that group.
See, that's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting pickup.
But the point is, though, Malik, we're having that conversation.
Yeah.
And they're getting skill. My other one would be to Notre Dame fans is stop in one breath telling me that you don't care about stars, and in the next breath assuming the kids can't play because they're not ranked high. How many of y'all last year thought I was nuts when I kept telling y'all Benjamin Morrison is that dude?
Mm-hmm.
Said it for a year. Come on, man. Look where he's ranked. I don't care about that. They beat Saban for him. They beat Saban for a cat and Jimmy Lake for a cat in Arizona. I don't care what Rivals thinks.
Yeah.
So
yeah, rivals lost all credibility. Put Arch at one, not going no camps or nothing. You don't do nothing.
Because the criteria is different, though, Malik. That's the problem for me. Is if you're going to grade everybody else off of a camp, then why not grade him off of a camp?
They
Or
grading
not
you
going
off of
to a
Friday
camp.
Night Lights. When has that ever been the standard of grading a kid as number one player? And then they got a new thing called 5-star plus. You plus a 5-star. Damn it, you so
stupid.
good and overrated. You got a plus next to the 5-star.
Like, what can we create that will create even more crap articles that we can write that will get a lot of clicks but mean nothing? Let's do a 5-star plus. It means nothing.
No.
The film is what matters. The talent, the stars do not define your talent. Your stars should be defined by your talent. And it's not always so, because it's a flawed process that is no longer about just misevaluations. It's, well, this isn't good business. It's Shaun, you said it today. It's a business plan. So when you watch cats like Isaiah Foskey come out and play like 5 stars in college, remember that he was not nobody had him ranked in the top 200. Nobody. When you keep complaining about how you didn't get this kid and that kid, and this kid's ranked this and that kid's ranked that, just remember one thing: not a single person on the planet outside of me had Benjamin Morrison ranked inside the top 300. Right? I could do this all day. Remember when everybody cried, rightfully so, when Notre Dame lost Will Shipley? Hey, Will Shipley's a baller. But I'll take my 2-for-1 deal that got you Audric Estime and Logan Diggs. You don't get them if you don't miss on Will Shipley. Will Shipley's a great player, Give me those 2 over that 1. That's the point. They got kids that can flat out play. Was it a perfect class? No. It's not. Peyton, like with the quarterback, I'm good. I'm happy with how it planned out. But getting Peyton and Keon would have been what made it a perfect class. They didn't get them. That's where Coach Freeman staff say, okay, what do we got to do to make sure we get that kid next year? Whether it's a 5-star like Peyton or a kid who maybe isn't ranked as high, but we love the talent like the next Benjamin Morrison. I don't care where a kid is ranked. I care how he plays in college. Stop getting in your feelings every time they don't get a kid that's ranked here or there. Stop getting in your feelings about where the class is ranked here. I don't care. Notre Dame's class today that's going to finish 8th is better than all but 2 recruiting classes that Clemson had for a decade period.
Facts.
From 2011 to 2010 to 2019.
That's right.
That's it. The Trevor Lawrence class ranked 1 spot ahead of where Notre Dame's current class is ranked. So just have a little faith that the people that you trust, that you know are giving you honest assessments, and then let it play out, right? Because what did we say a year ago, Shaun? When everybody's complaining, this offensive staff, Tom Reese has got to go. Why? You can't recruit. What makes you say that? Well, look at the class right now. Defense is killing them. Now look at it.
Right.
Now people are like, when's the defensive staff going to catch up with what Reese and his cats are doing? Just let it play out, right?
Yeah.
Because they got some flat out straight ball players in this class, fellas.
Yeah.
And if you look at who they beat for those kids, it tells you everything you need to know.
Yep. We're going to get to the super. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying that's it, man. Look at who they beat. I care more about that than I care about star rankings.
Yeah.
Don't let the illusion be the source to your confusion.
You beat Ohio State and LSU for Christian Gray. I don't care where he's ranked. Rivals just dropped the Don Schuler down to 3-star. That dude got offered by Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia during his senior season.
Right.
But he dropped down to 3-star. Stop.
Hey, we're going to check this out, though, because that's an interesting question I want to ask. And we had a conversation with Tom Lemming earlier today, Left. I want you to chime in on this. He said the biggest mistake in this class was that the fact that Notre Dame went all in on Dante Moore when they had Jackson Arnold pretty much in the bag. Now you got to see all of these guys play. You're so disrespectful. I knew that was coming. I knew that was, and I already know how you feel, Bryan. So.
I was thinking it. Malik said it. I'm just saying.
But
listen.
You know, he pointed back to, I believe he referenced the Will Shipley recruitment.
Without following up on what came next.
Yeah, like saying they didn't have a plan B after that Will Shipley ended up at Clemson. He kind of threw Lance Taylor under the bus on that.
That's one hell of a plan B.
Yeah. So with that being said, what's the biggest mistake of this class?
Man, I think the Keon, I don't call it a mistake.
What, but letting them go and not fighting?
I think us not getting him to sign, I don't know if you would call it a mistake or more just, I wish we would have had him. I think that would make the class feel like everything Marcus Freeman, like not that it doesn't now, but Marcus Freeman was hitting on the head. I think that would have been his key franchise pickup. I think he would make more of an immediate impact on a team that, you know, I think our D-line would have really enjoyed having a Keon. But other than that, I think it's not too many mistakes for a team that went 8-4 last year and end up as a top 5 recruiting class in the class the next year. So, you know, Marcus Freeman is, I'm telling you, that stock is rising. And that Notre Dame program is trending upwards, even with losing 2 5-stars that we should have got.
So basically, you're saying like with the class we got, it's not like we're not about to sit up here and complain.
Yeah,
after going 8-4.
After going 8-4, yeah, for sure.
Is it my turn?
Yes, Bryan.
I think the one for me is trying to play Russian roulette are trying to play a game of chicken with Jason Moore.
Mm.
I think that's one. I love Keon, and there's no replacing Keon, but if they'd have got Jason Moore, I'd have felt a little better about it.
Yeah.
Because he's a dude. And that version of it, Shaun, is a lot nicer than what my other mistake was going to be. My other one was going to be who you had in charge of recruiting the defensive line this year. But that would have been a little bit harsh.
No, that would have been fair.
Right.
That would have been fair, in my opinion. Because you know how I feel about the situation with the kid up here in Chicago in 24.
Sure.
So I'm right in line.
Unforced error.
I'm right in line with you.
Yeah. I just, when he got hired, you had Keon in the class. You had Brennan Vernon in the class. And you were the leader for Jason Moore. Jason Moore didn't go to Ohio State because he got paid. He didn't. Ohio State's losing kids left. Ohio State lost a kid today to Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn. Ohio State, they lost a kid. They lost a tight end to Auburn when they didn't have a coach. Why? Because he wasn't going there for the football program. He was going there for the deal. Because Ohio State's not buying kids. They did not lose to Ohio State for Jason Moore because of that. They lost to Jason Moore because they did a better job of selling the vision than what Al Washington did. Marcus Freeman was ultimately why they were in the game. Al Washington closed the deal. I think that's my – and then not having – I think the other thing too is they should have read the Keon situation a little bit quicker and maybe started looking for somebody else a little sooner to just have as a back burner. Even if it was a linebacker that you would eventually convert to Viper once Keon left would be, but that's a small one. That's a small one because Keon's thing escalated pretty quickly, like over a couple weeks.
Yeah.
That'd be a nitpick, but I think it's the other one. It's the one that cost you Keon and Jason Moore. If you just get one of those two dudes, we're having such a different conversation about this class right now.
Oh, yeah.
Such a different conversation about this class.
Yeah. And I think the Dante situation, in my opinion, there was something that we both participated in, and Bryan will remember this. When it happened, we had a phone call the night before, like, I don't know how this is going to go, man. Does this seem kind of corny to you? Like, this was the conversation we had. It's surrounding Dante Moore. And it always seemed like Notre Dame was chasing for someone that was supposedly committed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, always trying to, come on, lock in. Come on. And I know the importance of quarterback publicly stepping out there, but it just never felt good, right? It just never felt good. I don't put that on the kid. I don't put that on the young man. Just the entire situation surrounding that recruitment. It just didn't go the right way for Notre Dame. So, Tom Lemming, said going all in. I will say this. There was a time where they did have Jackson Arnold and Bazina ready to come visit. And they kind of just was like, so, I mean,
Can I ask you something, Shaun?
I think Tommy was put in a spot where he knew what the quarterback room looked like. And he shot for the star. He shot for the moon.
But why?
For the moon.
Why?
Yeah, to make up for all them.
No. I'm looking at it differently. Why? Because he knew since March that he was going to get CJ.
Oh yeah, I knew he knew. Yeah, I knew he knew for a minute that he was getting
right.
CJ too.
And that was the thing is like he knew. Look, whether you agree or disagree, this is not debatable. Tommy Rees thinks CJ Carr is a better prospect than Dante Moore.
Yeah,
he does.
That's why he went
whether you agree or disagree,
it's back.
Yeah,
he went behind Marcus Freeman back. He kept it low, and he was making them inroads with his family. Like, yeah. You're the championship dude first day on campus.
For me, if you could tell me back then, you can either take Vizina or Jackson Moore Arnold now, or take your shot with Dante, and if you don't get it, you're going to end up with Kenny Minchie. I'm going with how it played out. Because that's why you get CJ early, because then you can swing your shot there. Because CJ Carr is such a significantly better prospect than Chris Vizina, especially Jackson. Vizina I get. I mean, he didn't have a great senior year.
Hey guys,
Oh,
just look at what I have to stare at.
Oh,
You see this? Do you see this?
It's
Get
out of
out of
love
here.
for Shaun that I'm not
This
booing
crap.
right now.
You see this
Okay.
crap? If I didn't love
Yeah.
her so
The
much,
University of Spoiled Children? Is that what that is?
she would
Oh,
represent.
Hey,
that's what
did she actually get into school, or did she have to have her actress mother get her into school and pay people?
Oh,
I'm
just
just curious. You know what I'm saying?
No payoffs here. This is hard work. This is hard work.
That's right. That's right.
But the quarterback thing, though, is I'm comfortable
Yeah,
with
because where they finish at? Bottom 15?
Yeah.
Probably.
Pump that, man. But yeah, I'm comfortable with the way the quarterback thing. I didn't necessarily agree, because I think the only way you were going to get Dante is if you went all in. And I'm not on the I don't care where Jackson Arnold is ranked.
Yeah.
I'll take, and this is, I may be wrong, but I've been consistent on this from day one, Shaun. I've never been on the Jackson Arnold fan club.
Never.
I think he's a really good high school quarterback because he's got really good dudes throwing next to him.
Facts.
That's the reality of it, right? Like,
exactly.
You put Kenny Minchie on that team, and what would he have done with those throwing to those cats? That's my whole thing, right? Like, what would Kenny Minchie's numbers look like if he would have transferred to Westlake and was throwing to Jaden Greathouse and those cats, right? Like, Chris Vizina's got a big body and a big arm. His senior film didn't impress me. I've never really been on that train either. Shaun, you know me. I've always been high on Kenny Minchie. They tried to flip him when the whole thing went down with Dante. One of the first kids they tried to flip was Kenny, but he wasn't willing to do it because he'd already given Pitt his word. That's the kind of kid he was. He couldn't do that. But eventually he kind of realized, like, I got a business decision to make as well.
Yeah, he started watching Drew Pine play and was like, look, they need better.
That's it, exactly right. So I'm comfortable with how that played out, to be honest with you. Now, I wasn't prior to Kenny Minchie getting back involved, right? But once Kenny got back involved, it's like, okay, it worked out. But that's why I say it's a marathon, not a sprint. You got to let it play out, because you will not hear me complaining about how quarterback played, especially with Dante would have bailed. If they would have been able to convince Dante to commit publicly.
Yeah.
He still bails.
Yeah.
He still bails. Yeah, he still bails.
Because he wasn't willing to look his dad in the eye and say, "Dad, this is my life, not yours."
Yeah.
And that's the facts for me.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't have changed. Could you imagine if they would have got him, Shaun, and they lost Keon and him? Like, if they'd lost Peyton and Dante leading up to signing day?
Well, as it stands, we do have the number 1 decommitment class in 23. Facts.
Yeah. Yeah. If you go with silence as well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
because people forget Justin Rhett was in that group too.
Absolutely.
Another one I'm okay with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works out. I'll trade you Justin Rhett for Micah Bell every single day of the week and twice on Saturdays.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I'm going to tell you the best evaluation job in this class. See, that's a different way of talking about this class. The best evaluation in this class. I'll start with you, Left. Who do you think is the best evaluation in this class? Somebody that's looked on film. I'll tell you who it was for me. I'll step out and start it off. Ben Minich. Ben Minich is going to get the best evaluation award for me. Because I don't know what they saw before. Of course, he runs the 10-4 and everybody.
Wait, is that the safety from Ohio?
Yeah.
Oh, you just wanted to say Ohio. You just wanted to find a way to bring up Ohio.
Hey, it's funny because that's who I was thinking of. I couldn't remember his.
But yeah,
I couldn't figure it out either. I said, why would we?
Yeah, because in my opinion,
off a cliff for him.
Notre Dame got in on him quicker.
Yeah, I mean, it was a quick commit, quick
Oh,
recruitment.
and he was ready.
Because he knows, he was like, y'all recruit me. Oh yeah, hey, before y'all change your mind.
Yeah, yeah. And there's another one that we got a chance to talk to. I know this is probably where Bryan's going to go because Bryan thinks this kid can be really good because his ceiling is pretty high.
And who's that?
No, I'll let you go ahead and give your answer first, and then we'll come back.
I'm gonna go with you because the reason I do is I'm more impressed by the. This is gonna sound super arrogant, but whatever. I think people are used to that from me by now. I'm more impressed when a coach makes an evaluation that I didn't see. And that's the thing. Like with Ben Minich, I was like, I don't see it. Malik, I don't see it. I watched the junior film. He's a really good high school football player that I don't see that projection to the next level.
I don't see it panning out.
I didn't see it. And then I saw the senior film and I'm like, okay, that's okay. I see it.
Right.
You know, because this is what I was told. I was like, I don't see it, man. I don't see what you're doing there. And they're just like, look, just wait till you see a senior film. If you just saw it at camp what we saw at camp, okay, cool, whatever. I don't care what a guy does with no pads on. I'll wait till they put the pads on.
Pads on for sure.
I had a friend of mine who does play-by-play, and he's from Ohio State fan. He knows the game. He can watch the game. He called me up after he did a playoff game. I think it was Lakota West and St. X. I think it's who it was.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Bryan, I'm going to tell you something right now. The best kid on the field that day was Ben Minich. Now, keep in mind, his teammate is Malik Hartford, who's a top 100 player going to Ohio State.
The safety.
And he's like, right. Safety. He's like, Ben Minich was the best kid on the field that day. And it wasn't even a conversation. It wasn't even close. And I was like, yeah, man, I've seen it all year, man. Like, so to me, Shaun, those are the ones like when you ask me who the best evaluation in 2022, I'm not going to say it was Mike Mickens seeing the one that impressed me the most. Cause like, that's what I expect Mike Mickens to do. Right. I saw it. He should see it. Right. It's the ones I don't see that impress me. So props to Chris O'Leary and Chad Bowden and those guys for seeing that in Ben Minich when I didn't. Those are the ones that impressed me for me. Who'd you think I was going to say, Shaun?
I thought you were going to go Traore.
Yeah.
Just because of the conversation we had last night.
Yeah. He's still so projectable, though. That's the thing for me. Like, there's still so much.
All the traits.
Yeah. But, like, that one's not hard to see. Like, if Armo Mukum breaks out, I'm going to be like, yo, that is an evaluation. Because this kid played football for one flipping year. He was committed to Stanford. He played 6 games the year before, and y'all went and found this kid and flipped him from Stanford before everybody else got involved on him. Like, those are the ones that impress me. Looking at, if you can't look at Boubacar and be like, no, that dude's got some tools, then you need to find another line of work.
Yeah, because he looks crazy.
Right. It's like when they found Keon, like that wasn't a hard find.
No.
Like, you watched popping that kid. I mean, first time I saw him, I was like, I don't care where that kid's ranked. That's another one, though, right? What did we say when they got Keon? Everybody's like, well, he's tall. He's not even ranked in the top 100. I was like, I don't care where he's ranked. That's a 5-star.
5-star.
Kid's a freaking 5-star. And, it's the ones that I don't see. And Ben Minich, I didn't see. Armel Mukum, I didn't see at first. I was like, okay, let's see. And then you watch the senior film. I'm like, this is just year 2 of him playing football? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
No. Caleb Smith's another one. Never heard of freaking Caleb Smith. I mean, who the freaking heck is Caleb Smith? You're flipping a kid from Texas Tech that's got one offer? And then you pop in the film, you're like, oh.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, Chancey. All right, Chad. All right, I got you. Because I was like, you're going to pass on Tayshawn Lyons for some cat from Texas that's got one offer, right? So even me, I fall victim to the things that other people fall victim to. And then you pop into film because we all have that immediate reaction, right?
Yeah, because we love Tayshawn Lyons.
Right. Loved him.
The senior film. Loved him.
Yeah. It's like when you see a hot girl, right? And then you're like, okay, you have that immediate reaction. Then you talk to her and you're like, I'm good. You know what I mean? But you had that immediate reaction no matter what. It's just human instinct. And I was like, come on now. You're going to pass on Tayshawn Lyons
at the club
for some kid. Yeah. Wow. Wish I could rethink this decision. Yeah. But, that was one where it's like when you first hear it before you see the kid's film, you're like some 6 foot, 175-pound kid from Texas that has one offer. Come on, man. And then you pop the film and you're like, yep, okay, there you go. I see it. Let's do it. And So those are the ones for me, Shaun, that I just thought that you say this is why the staff is going to make it, because they're going to keep finding the Benjamin Morrisons. They're going to keep finding the kids like that, the Joe Waltz and kids of the world. They're going to keep finding them, because those guys play like 5 stars, and that's what matters. Doesn't matter where you're ranked; it matters how you play. Ronnie Stanley was ranked in the top 100 by a grand total of 0 recruiting services.
Talk about it.
Will Fuller was literally in Malik's class. ESPN had Will Fuller ranked as the last kid in the entire class. The only kid that he ranked ahead of was a kicker.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Shout out to our guy Jeff Fluke. He said, "What? No Hillman? No. We immediately saw Hillman's film on his lot, and we're like,
now finding him was impressive.
Yes.
Doing the research to go look and dig to find that kid was great. But recognizing the skill is not. That's a different deal.
No.
The work ethic is phenomenal, but evaluating that kid, be like, okay, yeah. Once you saw his senior film, it did not take a rocket science to be like, yo, this kid
at all.
Plus, he's from Virginia, so I mean,
here we go. You got me stuck in between Virginia and Ohio tonight.
That's right.
2 great states, man. Hey, but you got to remember, Shaun, where was I born?
The great state of
Ohio. Yeah. Right, because it's really impressive to be able to spell a state that has 4 letters in it. Like spell out Albuquerque with a bunch of cats, and then I'm impressed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, straight up.
I was on a cruise one time, and this girl found out I was from Ohio. Every time I walk past her, she yelled "OH," and I'm like, "No, it's 4 letters. It ain't impressive." You know what I'm saying? Like
more of a calling card.
Yeah. Okay, I got
it. You answer the other end, let I know.
Okay, great. Stop doing that. Yeah. So Malik, did you give yours yet?
Yeah, I was saying it was Ben or it would be Micah, just because he's a low-key kid. He don't have no Instagram, he don't have no social media for real. His speed is definitely dangerous, but talking to the kid, you would think that he just chose Notre Dame because they called him. Like he is kind of like I kind of like it. We'll see what happens. I decide when I go visit. But so getting a kid like that to commit and then be a special talent that we can develop, and it's a very smart kid. I think it's going to work out really well. But we didn't see him on the blazing trails of like a Travis Hunter that was out there and was looking for NILs and this, that, and the third. So
basically,
guys that aren't thirsty for the NILs, it's still got talent, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, Travis Hunter just committed to Colorado.
Shocker.
Let
me put on my shocked face.
Cormani McClain, who decommitted from Miami today, is more than likely going to join him. You know what? That's if it's one position that Dion is going to be able to recruit,
it's corners.
Anywhere.
Now, is Travis Hunter going to play corner there, or is he going to still be a receiver, or both?
Travis Hunter is going to do whatever the heck he wants to do.
Right. Is he going to do both?
I promise you that was part. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that was probably part of the deal. Like, son, you come out here, you can do whatever you want to do.
And Komani's smart. He probably wanted to play with Travis too. Just be in that limelight.
Bro, and it's an easy starting job. I mean, that's a bad roster. There's Mountain West teams like, nah, I'm good. We'll keep our kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not good.
Oh, man. And we're going to get ready to close it up, guys, man. We've been on air all day long. Thank you to everyone that is locked in with us. Irish Breakdown, IB Nation, Lucky Lefty Podcast, LL Nation. It's all because of you. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us at Lucky Lefty Pod on Twitter and Instagram as well. Long, crazy day. Left, you gave us but one of the best rants of the season today. Like, out of all your rants, it was Braden Lindsay worthy, bro. Like,
yeah, we getting better.
You had a release package for the masses today. What's your closing thought?
Man, what a great 2023 class we was able to put together. Marcus Freeman, I still can't get over the fact that we were 8-4 and making headway and big waves in the recruiting game still. It shows that these kids believe in what Marcus Freeman is building. And when the kids believe, I believe. And so I think we're on the right track to being closer to the championship than we were last year. We fixed the holes that we needed to fix from the most standpoint. And at this point, it's all about just icing on the cake and adding some nice transfers that can, make some headways, make the team look a little bit better. But I'm excited for the spring. I want to see these young guys get in, see what they look like competing against some of the vets getting better, the return of Cam Hart, and everything in between. And hopefully, the youth will look more experienced than being first-time starters and first-time big role players. So I think the coaching is going to have a hell of an impact on these young kids and the kids that are coming back.
BD.
It's the same. It's look, I get the emotional reaction to what happened today. I get it. We had it. We all went through it. But it's like with anything, look at what you have. And this isn't even spin. Look, the reality is this is a heck of a class. And I don't care where it's ranked. There are not 5 classes in the country I'd trade for this class.
Oh, for sure.
There just are not. And you're doing it in the era of NIL. And even now, this staff is fighting. I love it because they understand it's got to be earned, but they understand that the kids that come are going to come hungry. They're going to understand it. And over half the kids in this class are going to be on campus in 2 weeks.
That's right.
And there's going to be a lot of cats on the team now that are thinking they're going to have something roll next year. That are going to realize really quickly, I better really, because this is the great thing about competition. Ev had to be at his best because he looked over his shoulder and saw Malik. Malik had to be at his best because he looked over his shoulder and saw Shaun. Shaun had to be at his best because he should have been at his best because you look over his shoulder and you see Brandon. And that's it just goes on and on that way, right?
Well, we stopped looking over shoulders when Ian came for a long time. And he was like, look, I ain't looking behind. There's a wall back there.
Well, you look, but then he was way down there. You just kind of looked over him. But that's what great programs do, right? It's like that's what makes you better. And it's a healthy competition. It's not even like, oh, let me do what I got to do to sabotage this guy's going to win. But it's like, look, this guy is going to challenge me every day. Hey, Dion, Tobias, Lorenzo, you guys want to be great? Then make sure you're putting in the work to keep these kids off the field as best you can. Right. And it's like that everywhere. Hey, look, I know Audric and Diggs and Tyree, you guys had great years and all that as a group, but don't get complacent because there's this cat named Jadarian Price and this cat named Jeremiah Love who's going to show up this summer that are going to want that are going to say, I don't care what you did last year. Wait till you get a load of me. Right. And I think that's where you want to be. Benjamin Morrison, freshman All-American, but you better have the same work ethic and focus next year you had this year because you're going to have Micah Bell and Christian Gray looking to be you next year. And I think that's what makes you great. I think the one thing that Brian Kelly's teams are always lacking in most areas was they didn't have that kind of depth and there wasn't the culture, correct me if I'm wrong, Malik, where there were too many kids that got jobs and you just knew that you were going to have that job. It didn't really matter what happened on Saturday. And that's not a championship culture.
Real comforting,
right?
Rolling into the season, you was pretty much good unless you just absolutely blew
it. And Benjamin, look, Clarence Lewis played the best football of his career in fall camp early in the season, but it still wasn't good enough because Benjamin was just better.
Yeah.
And
wouldn't have happened with Brian Kelly. It would not have happened. We would have sat on it and waited and then threw him out there the next year, which ruined a lot of the guys that I thought could have been really nice, like a Nicholas Watkins. Mm-hmm. We knew he was good when he came in, but we sat on him for guys that he could have competed with, and then he ends up coming in and he gets hurt and then he misses another year. So it's just, we
confidence isn't the same.
Yeah, I mean, you 3 years in ain't touched a lick like you should have because they're sitting on you. So I think there's been a lot of good players that kind of missed that window,
right?
But it wasn't their fault. So,
and I hope we don't see that with this staff. Linebacker is going to be a key test of that in the spring. Mm-hmm. But in a lot of these positions, Mike Mickens has shown, I don't care what grade you're in. I'm playing the best guys. I'm going to coach all you up, and I'm going to play the best guys. I mean, We saw that this year when fifth-year seniors were losing snaps to a converted wide receiver, right? I mean, I'm excited to see that because I think if the veterans are keeping their jobs, it's because they put in the work to keep their jobs, and that only makes them a better football team. And that's why classes like this report, even if they don't necessarily have the impact that we thought they were going to have,
That's right.
Because the veterans are going to play better. Lorenzo Styles, if he starts next year, is going to be because he put in the work to get to his potential. Because if he's not doing that, he won't play. He played this year because who are you going to put in, right?
Yeah.
And that's not the case anymore. And this class is going to be a big part of that. And I'm excited about that because for what it is, it's a heck of a class.
Yeah.
A heck of a class.
Let's get to some of these super chats and get out of here, fellas. Jeff Luke, can you guys talk about this? Is right up your alley, Big Boss Man. Can
Just
you
flat
guys
out.
talk about the
Lies,
misinformation?
It's flat out lies, man. Like the stuff that was being reported about him was just flat out. They were just lies. I mean, there's no other way to explain it other than it's just lies. Like there's reports, and then some of the people reported it were not. They weren't lying, but they were reporting what they were being told, which were lies.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like the whole thing about, he's leaning towards Texas A&M. The same day that he is having a conversation with Ryan Roberts at Irish Breakdown about doing his commitment to Notre Dame, which he had made the freaking previous week,
right,
on our show,
right.
The whole show. Well, he's going. Jeremiah Love never wavered, but people would ask me going into the last couple of days, hey, do you think Jeremiah Love's going to stick? Why is this a question? Well, so-and-so said, I'm like, well, do you trust so-and-so? No, I don't. But then why are we talking about this?
Yeah.
Right?
He said so. He made that clear as well on his social media today.
Yeah.
That was never a doubt. So
he never wavered.
Yeah.
And so it's what our business has become. Like people will take, well, so-and-so told me something. Something as simple as you find out that Jeremiah Love had a conversation with a coach at another school, and you turn it into something that it's not. Because in reality, and Malik will tell you, there's coaches that you don't play for that you might have even liked more than the coach you chose to play for.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't the right opportunity for you.
Thanks.
You're not going to stop having that relationship if it was real.
Yeah.
Right. And so he talks to a coach. Hey, how's it going? How's everything doing? Tony Alford would do this. He would still talk to kids that commit to other schools, not to flip them, because he knew they were made the right choice. But it's like, I care about you. We got to know each other. I love you. I want the best for you. And call me if you need me.
He was a top recruiter.
Exactly. And it's not about call me if you need me because you're not playing enough. He'd probably tell you, you need to stick it out and be a man and battle through it.
I mean, he told me, I was like, interested in going to Ohio State, obviously trying to go back home. He was like, man, we too deep over here right now, right. JT Baird in the situation. He said, right. Don't do it to yourself. Go. He said, go somewhere you can play.
Battle. Yeah. But that's the coach. That's the real ones right there. Yeah. And kids still have a relationship with those coaches, even though they know this is what's best for me, but I still got love for you. And then people will take that and then turn it into he's going to flip, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. And it was all lies. And so now this kid and his father, here's the disappointing thing. And I'm going to kick some knowledge on him because I told his dad I was going to eventually talk about this. I'm going to say it now. Jeremiah Love did not want to sign today. He wanted to sign in February with his teammates. But he lost that opportunity because he knew what was going to happen to him and his family if he did not sign today. Mm-hmm. The rumors and all the other nonsense. So that got stolen from him because of lies and immaturity in a profession that has lost its way, coaching-wise and reporter-wise. He had to do something today. Now, there was never a wavering of not going to Notre Dame. He didn't understand at the time that he could sign and then just tell Notre Dame not to announce. So It went from, I don't want to sign because I want to do this with my brothers. And he felt him not being committed, it would kind of help, or not being signed would help them get maybe some more offers. To then he was going to not do this ceremony that he was going to sign, but then not have it announced and so he could do it in February. But it got to the point where all the rumors were just so great that he was like, we can't afford to do this as a family because this is all people are going to call and talk to us about. Because Notre Dame fans are going to look at his Instagram page and see that he took something off of it and lose their freaking minds because he liked the post on Twitter. It's absurd. So we're all responsible for it. not just the reporters, but when you're losing your minds because of what some bullcrap garbage reporter put out there, that's on you, not him. Because you should have just ignored it. Because here's the deal. You know what's going to make these clowns stop putting out clickbait stuff? Stop clicking on it.
Mm-hmm.
Make them be real journalists.
Yep.
And so that's really what it was with Jeremiah. There was no wavering. It was never wavering. It was nothing but lies. It's the dirty side of this side of the business, not the coaching side. They got their own dirtiness, our side. If people say, hey, I'm going to write this. It's a stretch of the truth, but dog, this is going to have 1 million clicks, which means, because here's how that works. If I put an article out and it gets a ton of views, I get paid because every time you open that article, ad revenue check, ad revenue check, ad revenue check. And you can just go back later and say, it was true, but situation changed. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. And that's what happened with that. So, rant over.
There you go. Great question. David Littlefield, we appreciate the super chat. He said it's for all the overtime work today. Thank you. We appreciate you as always. I got Just Buffo, the motivational business banker. He feels like Adon Shula and Ben Minich are going to be dogs. I think they are already dogs. They're just going to grow from pups into adult dogs at Notre Dame.
And the
I agree. Big dogs, yeah. I agree with the sentiment, Josh. Thank you so much. I got Ryan Loftus with the super chat for the GC fund. That's what's up. We appreciate it. Go Irish.
What's that?
That's, they call me GC, the good Christian. That's what LL Nation and Malik call me.
Gotcha.
Just one indie gal. Thank you for the super chat. Joe Moore Award 2025. Lock it. Heck, I mean, they should have been up for it this year, honestly, but it is what it is. I got William Chesney. Thank you for the super chat. Do you think ND should pull PB's scholarship? Do you stand your ground and say one player isn't going to make a joke out of the university? You made a grown man decision. You live with that decision.
We pulled other kids scholarships but it wasn't for their actions. It was from we could do better. Can we do better than Peyton at this very juncture? No. So I don't think we'll pull it, but we definitely gonna give him a Kyrie list of things to do to get back in good graces if he was to want to come back.
Because if he wanted to come back too, what does that say? It says that he's going back to being who we think he is. So, like that's something I talk about, like the Randy Moss situation. Like, you're going to claim to be an institution of faith. Look, there are consequences to your decisions, but not every consequence should involve you're out of here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of thing is like, look, bring him in, help him, learn from this, be better from this. You just doomed him to missing out on opportunities because you felt you needed to save face. So would you get some satisfaction by telling Peyton Bowen to go F himself? Maybe. I might have around 12-15 today. But at the end of the day, if the kid wants to come back, it's because he realizes this isn't right, man. This isn't me. This isn't me. And as long as he's willing to say some things to you and the other kids, yeah, you welcome him back because he's still part of your family, right?
Yeah. He's just a cousin that owes us some money. That's all. You got that cousin. I still love you. You still family, but you give me that 50.
You got to pay me back first before you. Yeah. Now we're cool. Now we're
cool. We family. We ain't never gonna stop being family. But that 50 gotta be.
You gotta run that. Run me.
He has been on point today with these analogies, though, Shaun. Right.
Dude, this is all the time. This is left in rare form. Jason Hewlett, thank you for the super chat. Free gonna load up on 4 stars on stars. We're gonna be all right. Kendrick Voice, luck for OC. He ends every super chat with luck for OC.
Luck is the OC, right?
Yeah, look, we're gonna
At
top
Lakewood?
5 scoring offense. That's what we're going for. We don't care about none of other stats. We want the top 5 scoring offense. That's what we look for.
Did you get your recruit today though?
Yes.
You got him?
Had a nice little visit. Got to see him work out a little bit. Dropped him off a couple, shirts for the support. Got my receivers out there with him. I had to ask him, like, y'all like this guy? Y'all, so half of the recruiting is done. Now I got the other half, get the head coach to sign off, but I definitely did my due diligence.
Okay. Left us out there in LA.
Recruiting, boy.
Kids in the public park. Got them throwing to the receivers on Christmas break.
Yeah, because we got to win. we got to win and reload. That's what it is.
Oh, man. Dick Lane, thank you for the super chat. What's the time frame for early enrollment? I think early enrollment, they report on the 16th, if I'm not
somewhere
mistaken.
somewhere 14th, 15th, 16th.
Yeah.
I thought it was January 13th. That's when I felt like I got there.
Yeah, that's usually like a second week.
It's going to be snowing, boy.
Matter of fact, I don't think you guys, because Chicago area is under advisement from noon tomorrow. You guys as well?
Yeah, we went out and got some firewood and bought some ice and some waters just in case.
Man, I went to the beach today, guys. My bad, man.
Okay, thanks, Lef. Thanks, Lef.
Got an itch on my head. Give me a second.
Well, Shaun, you a snowbird for real, so you just being difficult.
I am. I love the seasons. I absolutely love the seasons. I love the seasons. So I don't
only if it means I don't lose my freaking power in my house. Like I like snow, but I don't like blizzards and winter storms that like knock my power out.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I got winter cyclone bombs. They giving these winter things crazier names. Winter storm, cyclone.
When did we start naming winter storms? When was this always been a thing?
I don't know.
I always remember like the blizzard of 78. Like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
the year, right?
What is this, like hurricane season or something like that? Like we got jealous because our storms don't get like, tornado Bob. You know what I mean? Like we got jealous of the hurricane, so we start naming storms. Like what are we talking about here, man?
Got another super chat. Ape Gambino, thank you for the super chat. Love how real IB is, but our safety room isn't good. We can't spend that. You all can take that. I don't know what he sees. Well, Xavier Watts is pretty good to me.
I don't remember saying I don't remember talking about how good the safety room was. I don't remember talking about that.
No, I think we kind of posed that question that if things don't happen a certain way, we would have to question certain things from Chris O'Leary. I remember saying that today.
Sure. But it was a recruiting thing.
Yeah.
Look, the safety room has not been great, but it's like this. We always have these conversations, right? There's some people, I'm not saying this about Ape Gambino. I'm just making a point. Like, it's either great or crap. And the safety room was not great this year. Wasn't bad either. It was solid. At times it was pretty good. At times it was needs to play better. But overall, it's pretty solid. I mean, guys, this is one of the best pass defenses in the country this year. And they did so while playing C.J. Stroud, Jaron Hall, Drake May, DJ, whatever. And then, Caleb Williams. And there were some other kids, mixed in there. I mean, a week before they completely dominated Emmett Moorhead, he threw for over 300 yards against NC State. Right? So, I mean, so the standard is you either play like the 2018 safeties, you're garbage, right? Like, does the safety room need to get better? Yeah, it does. Is it bad? No, it's not. It was pretty solid this year. Needs to get better. If you're going to win a championship, it needs to get better.
Yeah, pretty solid with the same players that we deemed questionable in previous years.
Sure. It's going to be young next year. I'll tell you this right now, though. First thing I'm doing if I'm Notre Dame, I'm going to be real with y'all right now, is if you're able to get Ryan Barnes and Chance Tucker back next year with the new kids you got coming in, I like Chance Tucker. I like Ryan Barnes. I think if those guys are my backups at corner next year with the freshmen, I feel real good about that cornerback depth chart, which then allows you to say, hey, Clarence, you're an okay corner. Yeah. You could be a pretty darn good safety.
Yep.
Right? I mean, that's what I think. He's more athletic than like DJ Brown is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like DJ's a hitter. You know what I mean? Like, so you move him back there, and then you've got Ramon Henderson, you've got Xavier Watts, you've got the freshman coming in. Is it a lights out 2018 safety group? No, but it's a good safety group with some athletic kids that can play football. and you're going to have one of the 5 best cornerback tandems in the country next year.
Yeah.
Because Benjamin Morrison was complaining about this in an interview. He's like, yeah, people kept throwing at me. Well, you asked, well, why? Because what was your other option? Cam Hart? You know what I mean?
Crazy, because Cam is probably going to get more action next year.
Sure. Which is, what's funny? I talked to somebody that was part of his decision-making process. That's part of the reason he decided to come back. Because he's like, they can't avoid me.
I need some more film of people trying me.
Right. But no, seriously. He was like, the way Benjamin played
right now,
like they can't avoid me next year because this cat's too good. I love that. So it's got to get better at Gambino, but
how many schools signed more than 2 players back? We should look at them stats. There ain't too many teams that's taking 5th years back.
Right.
They usually sending them off down Old Town Road.
Big Easy, thank you for the super sticker, my friend. We appreciate you. Yeah, this is look. We're going to talk about this moving into or getting close to the Gator Bowl. Some big decisions. The transfer quarterback situation is going to solve itself. There will be players after the bowl game that have decisions to make, whether it's going to the NFL or possibly going into the transfer portal. Those are going to be discussions that need to take place.
Yeah, just let it play out.
Let it play out. One thing's for sure. It's going to be fun when we hit the campus in March for the pro day and that first spring practice. I can tell you that. I'm looking forward to seeing the early enrollees. I'm looking forward to seeing the freshman class and what they look like, how much bigger they are.
I can't wait to see Josh Burnham in the spring.
Can't wait to see Josh Burnham, who has an incredible first step off the edge. Nolan Ziegler, Jalen Sneed, like everybody. Like, if you're not excited about this program at this point, like PB who? Like, there's plenty to be excited about. And that's not being disrespectful to how great of a player he is.
Because ideally, you want all those guys plus Peyton Bowen, right? Like, I hate people that are like, no, we don't need him because we got so and so. Okay, cool, but wouldn't you be better if you had so and so and him?
Yeah,
right.
That's how Georgia's feeling. They're like, we got him and him and him.
So that's why Malik and I both said, as long as he's willing to do the right things, I'll take him back. Yeah, right. But can we also not forget that they got a walk-on safety today? Right.
No,
can we not forget the fact that Notre Dame landed a walk-on safety today that turned down a scholarship offer from Utah and Washington State?
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good.
Utah did something that Utah twice did something that Notre Dame couldn't do this year.
Right. Facts.
Beat SC twice. I'm talking about made them look like a regular team.
That's the way to know
pressure on them. Does Utah have a great D line?
It's good. They just played well. They attacked. They attacked. They didn't coach passive like Notre Dame did. They attacked. They took the fight to them.
That's our trade. Get passive versus really good teams.
Can I say something to Malik and get his answer on this, Shaun? Malik, because you know Justin Utupo and obviously playing Notre Dame and you play with some of these cats. If I was Marcus Freeman, I would make this rule. You tell me if you agree or disagree. I would have a rule that if you coach D-line for me, if you don't bring me at least one like Polynesian defensive lineman every year, you're fired.
Wait, one that's over 300 because those are the good ones.
Or a kid that's got like Kona, who was like 230 when he signed, but he had like you could see the Kona was going to blow up, right? Like you could look at him at 230 and be like, he's got these big shoulders, these big hands, these big feet. Then you met his family and you're like, oh yeah, he's going to blow up. But yes, to your point, right? To your point, give me one of those a year.
Because you got to put one in the middle. We just need one nasty Jordan Davis.
Kona. May he rest in peace, but like Kona in this defense would be a dude that you're like, okay,
amazing. Yeah. But that defense in 20, we had Ben Council, Jared Grace, Kona, Shimbo, Eshak, Romeo on the same team.
Right.
On the same team. Lou, to it. Man, listen. That was a different time now.
Yeah, but Notre Dame hasn't had
that's when I was afraid to
for a
practice.
championship.
And I was afraid to practice against them boys, man.
Big Easy, thank you for the super chat. Will Notre Dame have dogs on the defense to build a tough championship attitude?
TBD. If we're being real, TBD.
Because we're young.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of that's though, Malik, comes from the competition, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you've got to let those young guys believe that there's a chance for them to go out there and beat out JD Bertrand and Marist and Jack Kaiser, because if they do, then
Boom.
those cats know they got to step up their game, and that means, you know, popping some pads. Because if you don't, Jalen Sneed will do it. I know Nolan Ziegler and Jalen Sneed will do it. I know Drake Bowen's going to do it. So hey, you got a choice, bro.
Yeah, that linebacker. I want to see who's going to start in that linebacker room.
But you got to let them know that that's a real deal. I don't care how many years. I don't care that you're the defensive MVP. I don't care that you started last year. I don't care that you're 6'3" and range. Look, you didn't play well enough, and this cat's chomping at the bit, right? So I think it comes from the culture too. I think that nasty physical defense is partly you recruit kids that have that mindset. You need to do anything in practice to get Manti to be that way. That's just how Manti was.
Yeah.
But I also think you can enhance that culture. Number one, recruit those kind of kids. Number one. Number two, is create a culture where cats are hungry. And they got to be. Because if you don't go eat today, I know somebody who wants to snack on that meal. I know somebody who will go eat that, right? I know someone who will do that. And you want that practice every day where, like, if I don't bring it today, like Malik, I talk to kids, the cats on the 2017 team, and they'll say, look, I had to, on an offensive line, I had to bring it every day. Because if I didn't, Q was going to be in my face.
He said, well, letting you just do whatever. You better be.
He was like, I'm the dude, and I'm bringing it. You know, Alex Barr said that on our show one time. He's like, I could not have every kid has days you're like, I don't want to be. I got a final tomorrow. I got this problem. I got my girlfriend.
We had guys like Zach Martin who never got cold, never complained, will always do the same thing, and he just had a standard. And Q was the same way.
And if he's doing it, you have no choice.
You have no choice. And Q was just so like a football guy, that the lineman couldn't even get out of line.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it was such a high level of expectation. And then backed by stand, man, you was either going to the league or going somewhere in the top 500 company.
Right. And that's what we need to see more of on defense.
Yeah.
Is that hunger to, it's like you want it to be, I'll try to use an analogy, right? Like you want your defense to be like, you got a pack of hyenas and there's a raw carcass and you're holding them all back and then you just let them go. And it's a race. There's 15 hyenas and there's only enough food for 10 of them. So if you don't put in the work, if you don't sprint, if you don't scratch, you don't claw, you don't fight, you're going to be hungry.
Yeah.
And that's how this defense needs to be. And I don't think it was always that way. At times it was.
At times we turned it on and off.
Yeah. But but that's the thing though. It had to be turned on. It shouldn't be that way. The 2012 defense didn't need to be turned on.
Yeah, because we started recruiting very, very upstanding citizens, man. Guys that were just really good guys that you would want to date your daughter. I don't want no D lineman no more that I will let date my daughter. I want raw, aggressive energy. I want a bunch of guys that I got to question their character. Be like, are they okay in the head? Because that's what it's going to take to be nasty.
You at least a couple of those guys, right?
Yeah, I need a couple of them. Like, no, I don't know about him, man. I don't want to meet him in no dark alley. Watch my stuff in my locker, because I just don't know,
You want to ride with me to the store? No, I'm good, man.
Yeah. He asked you to hang out. No, I'm good.
Or I'll leave my wallet at home.
I need some dudes like that,
Grab that empty, because you know how it is, right? You always have that empty wallet that you take with you. That you don't, you just kind of do that, and it's like, nah, I ain't gonna have this. Steal that one.
I would love to have some questionable guys in the locker room, because I think it just makes the personality better of the whole team.
Jason Hewlett, thank you for another super chat. Is Tariq, I assume, Bracy out of eligibility? I believe so.
Yeah, he literally played 5 years. He should have been out of eligibility last year, because he played as a freshman in 18,
right, and
then played all 4 years, but the COVID year allowed him to have a fifth year. So he was like Kurt Heinisch, where he literally played all 4 years and then got another year because of COVID. So, yeah, he is definitely done. There is no – unless they just grant everybody now has 5 years or 6 years to play 5, Malik's career's done. And I was so happy how that kid ended. He's got another game left now, by the way. But just his senior year, I was so happy to see how, with all the ups and downs he had, to play the way he did this year was I was happy to see that.
Doma Wap, thank you for the super chat. Thank you all. One of your best shows. We appreciate that. As always, you're informative, balanced, thoughtful, and humorous. Thanks for all your hard work. We don't take it for granted. Prayer hands, keep spinning it differently. I'm sorry. We appreciate that, Doma Wap. And I see someone in the chat brought this up, and we'll get out of here on this. Yes, I expect that you will see some of the position changes possibly in the bowl game, and expect some position changes. Bryan hinted to one that might take place, and yeah, those conversations will be had after the bowl game. And I'm sure you'll get all of that intel when it starts to happen, and those conversations take place over at Irish Breakdown, the message board. Go ahead and sign up today.
You had a couple super chats.
I missed
up at 11:28 and 11:29. The Hook and then Ryan Loftus.
Oh, yeah, I did miss those two. Sorry, guys. Good looking. The Hook, thank you for the super chat. Malik's rant was epic. Needs to be on constant loop.
Hey, thanks, man. We bringing it.
And then Ryan Loftus, I got Bryan. Did you do the do to get through today? Look, we're coming up 12 hours.
Still didn't work. There's not enough Mountain Dew. If I took a syringe of Mountain Dew from my veins right now, I'm still not waking up. I'm still not gonna have more energy than I have right now. I'm done. I'm too old for this, man. I'm too old to be having days where I sleep an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then got to get up and do shows all day.
Good,
man.
You know? But I think I powered through okay. Malik got me fired up. I was ready to fall asleep, and then Malik went on his thing. Okay, I better step up, right? Like that's what you do, right? Malik went on the grave. I'm like, well, I better come with something, right? You know what I mean? Like I better bring it. Malik brought it. I can't get embarrassed on you. I can't go on this show and get embarrassed. Like,
this is right.
Okay,
it's National Signing Day, man. We can't be lacking at all.
That's right.
And Big Easy, another super chat. Malik wants them Southside Chicago D linemen.
I want some dudes you can't take everywhere. It's like you can't take it to the restaurant. You might start arguing with the waiter. Taking food back, trying to eat off my plate.
Right.
Can't take him everywhere. We can take you some places.
It's like those family members, like, I can't take you nowhere. I can't take you nowhere.
I was trying to start some stuff, man.
Yeah, I agree.
So we'll be back early tomorrow, right? We'll dig into this class and we'll give you our favorites, talk about that type of stuff, project. We are hopeful that we'll have a very special guest on tomorrow's show that has an affinity for left. It has a special story. So we'll get into that.
One.
Hopefully,
that's a good one. Shaun told me that one.
Hopefully, we'll get that. If not tomorrow, it will happen sometime in the future. And don't forget, Irish Breakdown will be back tomorrow as well. Big Boss, what time we're rocking out tomorrow? Because I'm in on that show tomorrow.
1.
We
may move it back to 2. You know what? Let's just make the executive call now. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be a zombie till about 1. If we're going to be real about it. So let's just say we're going to do it at 2, okay? So, and then Shaun, that'll give you some time to wrap up your guys' show and then get the podcast up too. So
yeah, absolutely. And just to let you guys know, this show will be on podcast, but it will be 2 separate podcasts because it's 3 hours long. And we're going to break it down. Yes, it's 3 hours long. We're going to break it down into 2 separate podcasts. So you have
show for 8 hours a day, dog. We were on, and I did a 4-hour mailbag yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We did 2 shows yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, that's what the fans want, man. Keep sending the love. Keep sending the love.
Apple Podcast, Spotify. Don't forget, go over there, subscribe to us on YouTube as well. CFB Nation, in conjunction with Irish Breakdown. Leave 5 stars. Leave your comments. Set up the automatic download. Just make sure you get all the great content. Lucky Lefty Podcast. State of Recruiting. Man, we cover college football like anybody else. It's the Lucky Lefty Podcast. You already know.
Just getting started.
Spin it different. For left, Bryan Driskell, Shaun Davis, walking zombies. But we had to do it because we're the best in the business. Have a great evening. But most of all, even with all the disappointment, be excited about this program and make sure that you spin it different. We'll holler at y'all sometime tomorrow. That's what we do.